Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you may be. I am your humble host, Mr. David Knoll, also known as Hawkeye to others. And the hat fills in the top of my head or something. I don't know. Feel like wearing a hat today. Who knows? But anyway, greetings and blessings to you all, wherever you may be. And I hope this finds you in as good a health as possible. I'm your humble host, Mr. David Knoll, also known as Hawkeye Two Feathers. And I continue to pray that each and every day, that each and every one of you will continue to learn how to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the many blessings from the universe. And so, with that said, happy Wednesday morning. It's June. Hey, which moon? It's June the 22. It's the first day of summer. Um, the I was going to say the summer equinox, but it ain't equal. That's autumnal equinox. But anyway, it's in the summer, it's in the spring and the fall that it's equal, but we're at it's summertime officially. There you go. So I've had this subject that's been being like badminton in my head for the last several days, and the spirits were just kind of like, somehow you need to bring this out. And I was like, give me a dadgum title for this thing. Solstice, thank you very much. It was on my head earlier. And we got 2 minutes, and then I'm going to lap this bowl up. So if anybody is here or not, it's a 20 mark. So, but anyway, in watching everything out there in the universe, well, at least on planet Earth so far, I've noticed that in my 69 and three quarters years time, it's official now. That's three quarters. I'm three quarters of 69, of 70. Anyway, that, there have been a lot of wonderful things to make people's lives easier. I mean, back in the day, if I'm going to keep it simple, but mostly, yeah, sure. Me, simple. If you wanted a glass of water, you had to go out to the well and drop a bucket down, and you had to extradite that water in a bucket and a rope and what they called a tickle. That's the thing at the top that the rope goes over and down into the well. So now, if it was hard beating summertime and there wasn't any water, then there wasn't nothing down in that hole in the ground if you had a well. So the idea of just getting a drink of water has become a convenience, right? So this video, hey Chloe, is about the convenient convenience. What the hell are you talking about? Okay. Well, we have forgotten how difficult it can be to get a simple drink of water. Now, we in America have all had these things change and do this and that. It's a 20 mark. Have one if you got it. I am. Ooh, when I finally got it lit, ooh, that's a good one. But now, the convenience of things. Now, don't get me wrong. Do I like the fact that I can open up my faucet and water comes out? Yes. But have I had issues over the years where I have had to tote water? Oh, absolutely. I got probably 1,800 gallons of water in two tanks out in the backyard, right behind the house, because the roof collects rainwater and puts it into the tanks. So um, we're in a mini drought at the moment, as we have been for several years now down here in this little pocket of the South. And so, can you depend on water? No, not really. If it's we've had enough rain and so forth, yeah, okay. But can we depend on water 24/7, 365 days a year? The answer is no, because we have droughts and stuff happens. Storms, what if you don't have electricity? One reason why I have a shallow well, where people keep saying, oh, you need a deep well, you need a deep well. But here's the thing with my shallow well, when the electricity goes off, I can throw a bucket down into the bottom of my well and draw water out. Most people can't do that. So it's my own personal thing. But here's the thing. So people have the convenience of being able to just touch something and water comes out, and it's clean, it's all this good stuff and yummy, yummy. And they don't, they have not a clue where that water comes from, how it got there. It's just water, and you open a spigot. That's all. You lift a thing, and water comes out. But do you know where that water comes from? How hard it is? Do you know how hard it is for a lot of people in the world that doesn't even have fresh water? And so the convenience of being convenient. Okay, so what does that mean? So many people have been disconnected because of the convenience. Hang on. And so I'm not trying to say, oh, if you use water from the tap, then somehow you are, nah, that ain't what I mean. But what I mean is that the convenience of things has separated people from the reality of things. Now, well, on tonight's show with Robert V, I pulled the Dragonfly card again. Now, this is a Dragonfly has been coming up a lot lately, and so it's like, so what does Dragonfly mean? Illusion. So here's the thing: that the illusion is that water just all you have to do is just open this spigot and water comes out. But when it gets shut off, then what happens? And people are in the streets, and during the hurricanes and stuff the last few years down here, Michael, that's been 5 years now, I think, since. But that folks didn't have electricity down here for some folks for 2 or 3 weeks. And so your deep well ain't going to work. You got no electricity. So how are you going to get that water from 300 or 400 feet down in the ground up out of the ground so you can drink it or use it or whatever? So the convenience things have, in my humble opinion, has separated people from the actual process of stuff. So, electricity. We were talking about this a while back, a couple of weeks, talking with some folks, and I said, my first wife's father lived out in this general direction of the county to the west side versus, and he worked on a farm as a sharecropper. Now, he was old when I met him, and he was 90 something when he passed away many moons ago. But Mr. John Sloan, the house that they had one light in it, one light bulb, one ceiling fixture, and that was in the kitchen. And people used to sit on the front porch, back porch, whatever. They had one outlet that was in the kitchen, and they had one light bulb in the ceiling. And I have seen some of these houses I've worked on them when I was working for the weatherization program. Now, these people were so grateful for one stinking light bulb. And they were so grateful for that one plug because that was the refrigerator. Ooh. And some people would unplug the refrigerator if they had the money and had one to plug in their washing machine way back in the day. They shared one plug. And even though the washing machine was usually out in the backyard or whatever, you couldn't have two things plugged in to the same socket. So you'd unplug the refrigerator and plug in the washing machine and wash your clothes. When you're done, you plug the refrigerator back in. Oh my God, that was a convenience. Oh, they loved it. We have electricity. I've got me an old, in fact, I have an old washing machine that is of the Roland type. Uh, you know, you have to do everything manually. You have to flip the switch. Hey, Steve, how are you? So this idea today, white-tailed dragonflies, huh, Chloe? So here's the thing. So there's an app now for everything. Now you can talk to your. I think you might be able to even talk to your lawnmower for God's sakes. But you can talk to your washing machine. You can talk to uh, your refrigerator. I mean, and you can check things online and everything. There's an app for everything. And I think that the app is taking away the younger folks' aptitude. Why do I say that? Some folks, about a year ago, were going to show Mr. Dave how it's done. Hey, Miss Jules. And, they going to show me how, pioneers live. Well, I am a pioneer. I'm old enough to be a pioneer. And somebody said something, and they said, wow, this was like in 1955, and that's over a half a century. And I was like, yeah, rub it in, because I was born in 52. But anyway, but this idea, though, that in my lifetime, now, when I used to talk to my grandma, who, they barely had airplanes back when she was born, and then World War II came, and they didn't have jets, and then they didn't have rockets, and they didn't have outer space. So she saw a bunch of stuff in her lifetime, 70 something years. But so seeing the changes, seeing the conveniences, and my point to this is that and I put this, will anybody in the future be able to use a phone book? Now, there are folks that are like, what the hell's a phone book? You just look it up on Google. Well, what if Google ain't there? What if Alexa's has had, you know, has laryngitis or whatever? Bob, we love you. Hey, let's all I don't have any coffee at the moment, but let's give a toast to Bob and say thank you. There's some glitches going on, but thank you. So the majority of folks now with cell phones, and yes, I have one too now. I've had it for the last 6 months, supposedly so that folks can like get in touch with me and check on me. And those folks who promised they would haven't. It's okay. Other folks have and been very kind. But the reason I got it was for some phone. Well, if you had a cell phone, I could check on you. Well, I got a cell phone, you checked on me. So anyway, so much for that, right? They should pay my cell phone bill. Um, because it's convenient. Okay. Rather than call me on the landline and say, uh, Dave, how you doing? Are you breathing? Uh, no, but if you get a cell phone, Dave, we can text you and keep up with you, so we don't have to go through the the inconvenience of calling you on the phone. I can text you. Still waiting, literally still waiting. And so much for the, it's convenient. Okay. Well, it'd be convenient for me to cuss your ass out because of all the false promises you made. But is that valid then? Anyway, so what's a phone book? Now, we used to get a phone book down here in Moultrie that was like this thick. Now this thing's like a paperback, okay? I mean, literally. So this is the new phone book, you know, and it used, the yellow pages used to be as thick as this, even down here in Moultrie in South Georgia. And does anybody know how to use a phone book? I mean, it would be like going to the library to use the Dewey Decimal System. What's that? So the convenience. So it's all right to be convenient, but at some point, haven't we lost a disconnect? Can you actually do something without Google? I mean, can you actually do something without first checking with your cell phone? I mean, I'm not trying to be rude here. I'm being honest. There are people who cannot do anything unless they have their cell phone. Well, let me check this. Well, let me check that. Let me check it. Well, let me find out what Google has to say. Well, let me watch a couple of YouTube videos and then I'll get back with you. All that's fine. It's okay. But these folks don't know how to do anything on their own. They don't know how to go to the library and research. They just, because if Google can't do it, they're stumped. And because Google does everything through some type of an app or something, I was looking at this from a third point of view. Um, it's an app. It's an application. Okay. Um, it's an application. And what's it doing? It's applying something to an application to apply. It wants to apply its services to help you figure something out, right? Banking online. Everything is about insurance online. Everything is online. If your freaking phone dies or whatever, you don't even have a paper copy. So these companies that keep saying, well, what put in for digital, no, as much money as I pay you sons of bitches, you can pay the postage to send me a paper copy of the bill. I'm sorry, but it's online. Yeah, but I can't access it every time. Well, yes, you can. No, I can't. Because sometimes it's down. Your site's down. That part of the site is down. I went to check on, 24/7, just get online. And I went there and it said site closed for updates. Hey, Miss Pearl. And I was like, now personally, I know that because I've worked in the field where you had to do maintenance on the systems and so forth. I get this, but if you tell someone it's 24/7, 365, you don't really mean that because you have to take the system down for upgrades, repairs, uh, stuff happens, electricity goes off. So to make the statement, we are always available is a lie. Because why? They mean that they're available, but there are other circumstances that keeps this from being true. Okay, that's my point. So, but we're available. No, you ain't. Well, but there was a blackout, in half of the country. You're not available. I needed to check on something and I couldn't because the server was down. I needed to check my insurance. Sorry, couldn't do it. Why? Because the server was down or we had an outage. Now, I understand these are sort of normal kinds of things. Okay, stuff happens. My point is when you rely on it to be available to you 24/7, 365, that's a lie. if you have a piece of paper in your hand, you have it 24/7, 365. You got a copy of this and your bill comes in and it's this. I don't care. I can read it in the dark with a candle or a match. But I can't read my bill online if the electricity's not on. Now I know, but what's this? My point is, folks are relying on the apps to where this next gen in their 15 and 20 years old kind of thing, they don't, because in this last 20 something years everything has been made easier and more convenient because of the internet. Okay, a lot of kids don't even know how to use a library. Can you, what the hell is a Dewey Decimal System? What is a card catalog? What is, just saying. So with all of these appliances and all of these conveniences, is it taking away from us? Um, I think it's separating us from reality. What do you mean by that, Hawkeye? Well, for example, so laundry is not like it used to be, all right? And which is a good thing in a way. But now it's gone a little bit too, you know, wash machine is like $1,500 and it's not even the top of the line. Oh, it can talk to you and it's got these different settings and it can turn backwards and forwards. And I think it even knows how, to do, jump up and down, um, especially if it's out of balance. But anyway, back in the day with the old type, you went outside, you took a hose and you filled it full of water, the tank, the drum, and then you pulled it. I'm talking about my old Ringer washing machine in my backyard that I need to fix. Um, and so that as as you it got full, you turned off the hose physically by yourself, and you put the soap suds in, you added the clothes, and you let it, and you set your own timer. Well, I'm going to let it wash for 10 minutes. And then you went back out 10 minutes later. You had to take a hose off the side and drain it down out on the ground because most of the time you couldn't use these things in the house. They needed to be out on the porch or whatever. So you had to let the water out that drains by gravity, And in the meantime, you take these clothes as the water is going down and you flip this big ass knob on the top of the rollers and you turn on the rollers, the squishers, the things that, squish the water out of the, I can't think of they're rollers. But anyway, and you can get your hand in them. And it's got a little button on the top that you hit, but it'll pop the things open so you can get your arm and your hand out. Yeah, I would agree with that, Pearl. This whole dimension is false advertisement. But so now the ladies that had those old Ringer type washing machines were so flippin' happy that they had them because otherwise they were hand washing stuff with an old with a big tub and a scrub board, and the native folks and the old pioneers in the day used to beat their clothes on a rock. They would put them in big pots over the fire and boil the clothes to get the dirt out of them. And they'd stand around with these big pots and a big wooden paddle, you know, literally boiling the dirt out of the clothes. That's how they got their hot water. So these folks these days, now, is doing it the way we do it now much better? Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. And I'm not trying to say women, ladies, men, whoever you are that do laundry, you need to go back to those old practices. That is not what I'm saying. But it's gotten to the point where they don't care about the water. They don't care about the this. They don't care about the fact that they'll wear a set of clothes for a couple of hours and they're dirty because they wore them, and into the wash they go. And so, oh, well, what'd you do? Well, I wore these to town and back, and I sweated a little bit, so they're dirty. Okay. So every day, no matter how long you've worn the clothes, and sometimes people change clothes 2 or 3 times in a day. There was school clothes, there was when you got home from school clothes, and then there were pajamas. That's 3 sets of clothes, okay? And we were, well, you can't, well, you can wear your pajamas more than one day in a row, but other clothes, no. Outside play clothes, no. Into the but what did that do? The convenience of washing clothes led to washing more clothes because it was so convenient. So, but now we're using, now they do have wash machines that are very, supposedly, very, water friendly and recycling and all that kind. Okay, but here's the point. You're still washing more clothes than you need to. You're still washing more than you oughta, because I've want. Oh, how long did you wear that shirt? 2 hours. But it's dirty. It's dirty. I'm sorry, it's dirty. I wore it. I wore it. It's dirty. Okay. Got to be clean. Got to be clean. Got to have this. Got to have that. Got to have freshener. Got to have all the. Okay, all right. But now that has become the normal. So if people can't have what they would consider normal, I mean, I'm still washing clothes in the sink, hand washing clothes. Now I want to get my. I can go down to the local washateria and do clothes. That's not an issue for me. But I realize how hard it is to wash clothes. So I'm not changing clothes 5 times a day or 3 times a day or once a day. Sometimes not once in 3 days. Because if I'm working outside, I got my shorts and my shirt here that if I'm just sitting around the house, I wear them for 2 or 3 days in a row. Hell yeah. Because I ain't doing nothing. I'm sitting here, trying to stay out of the sun and trying to, So, but at the same time, if I've got dirty clothes, if I'm going to go out tomorrow and work in the garden again, I come in and hang them dirty clothes on a nail. And when I go out to work in the dirt again, I put them dirty clothes back on, you know, and go back out. Because why dirty clean clothes? Just because, well, they're clean. Yeah, but in 10 minutes I'm going to be so grubby. Clean clothes is stupid. But this is my old warped way of thinking. But other people, they have will go through 2 or 3 sets of clothes per day because of the convenience, right? So the convenience factor has made certain things become just mindless. Well, where's the water coming? I don't know. Well, oh, my clothes were dirty. They didn't. Nobody's asking how long you wore it. Did it actually smell? Could you hang it up and maybe you wear it tomorrow afternoon when you're going to go out or whatever? I mean, oh no, somebody. I can't wear this. I can't wear the same shirt 2 days in a row. Somebody will notice. But if you've only worn it for 2 hours yesterday, can you wear it for 2 hours tomorrow? Or maybe skip a day. So somebody, well, you wore that shirt 2 days in a row. So, but if it's only for 2 hours, my point is that the convenience, well, I wore it. So now you got to wash it. So now you got to dry it. So now there's all this stuff you got to do because um, it's become so convenient that you can just willy nilly wash stuff, throw it here or there. Just saying. Okay. Now that's my water thingy. But people bitching about not having enough water in areas and stuff, but they ain't paying attention at all as to their behavior. So, the dishwasher thing. So they put their dishes in the sink, run the water, rinse out the dishes, and then put them in the dishwasher. It's never made sense to me. Never. If you're going to rinse shit out before you put it in the dishwasher, what's the point? And there are some dishwashers that are going to do all this fancy stuff when maybe just a little bit of elbow grease, a little bit of a little scratchy pad or something, or maybe just let it sit in the sink and just soak with a little bit of detergent in it. And oh my God, there's oh no, okay. So, but there's water and electricity, and the fact that they're like doing double duty with the washing machine. But they have lost the sense of like, what's the value of the water? Well, I have this water saving, okay. But didn't you just use a bunch of water, rinsing everything off to put it in the hot dishwasher to begin with? Come on, just wash them already. And okay, so put them in the dishwasher to dry and to store them. That works. So same thing with electricity. Everybody's going into this, oh, solar, but nobody's going 12-volt systems. Everybody wants their heat pump. Everybody wants their deep freezer. Everybody wants all of the heavy duty hot water heaters and everything that requires a crap load of electricity. So we can't get by on the simple things because they're not convenient. You hear me? And so I'm just I'm just saying, I people are losing contact with just reality simply because, hey Tracy, how are you? I wear it till it's dirty. Yeah. Now now I perspire a lot. And and sometimes it's a little stanky, sweaty. So no, but here's the thing: if it's like a T-shirt or something, I'll put it in this. I'll put it in the sink and rinse it out and hang it up. So I might wear the same shirt tomorrow, but I've rinsed it out and I've got some of that dirt and nasty sweat out of it. It only took just a little bit of water, like when I was washing my hands and everything, to just rinse out this T-shirt and throw it up on the thing and dry it, or take it outside and put it on the line. So it's the same shirt, and I have rinsed it out. It's not really dirty, but it hasn't been through the washing machine. Okay, you know. So, but anyway, all of these things that help save time, these applications that are applicable to be convenient to help you. Now, here's the thing: the people that I've seen, like, they use the apps the most and who are like app crazy, when they get whatever app they've used, over here on the side, they're playing a game. So they don't put their phone down to go do something like wash your freaking dishes instead of playing this mindless, stupid game. My dog's watching. And Steve, I started using a pressure washer to clear a pressure washer. I love that. Steve, were you on that night I told the story about my ex-wife and my friend who lives up in the North Georgia mountains? My good friend Dale Betcher. I don't know if he's still alive or not, but he was literally 2 days older than me. And but I haven't heard from him in a couple of years, but I'm still here. But anyway, so I go to visit my good friend Dale, and his kitchen is on the outside. It's on the back porch kind of thing, and it lives on a hill that's pretty steep. So the back porch is like at level with the ground at that point, but around the house, it's a big drop off. Anyway, so go there, spend the night, and just sitting and get up in the morning. And he's got several dogs, at least two, I think three at the time when I was there. So he's made he's made coffee. He's got some canned soy milk or whatever because he doesn't have a refrigerator. There's no electricity. So he has no running water at the house. He brings it in and water and whatever, Um, and so he's got a sink, but it's not really functional. And so when he gets done having his breakfast, he finishes up and he takes a spoon and does like this and wipes it on his shirt or whatever. And he puts the bowl down on the floor, and the dog's coming around and lick it and eat and whatever. So when they're done, he reaches down and he takes the bowl and he goes, "Here's a spot." And the one dog comes up and licks around the rim, and then he puts it up on the shelf. And my wife, I thought she had a cow on the spot. Now, you talk about being pussy whooped. At the time, I was, but there was such of an argument going on. Oh, she made me collect water. She made me heat the water so she could do all of his dishes. And he stood there and he goes, "I don't care." She goes, "Well, I do." And he goes, "But I don't. My dogs have been my dishwasher for a long time. I'm not dead yet. And so he sat there and he looked at me and goes, he said, "How long do you think this is going to last?" And I went, "I don't know," because we weren't married much longer after that. But to the point, you go wash your own dishes. But we were like, the whole day was wasted getting water because to please my ex-wife, because she had to wash every dish she had, which wasn't that bad, but I had to heat it and then had to do this. And Dale just sat there and laughed at us. And I wanted to spend the day with my friend. But anyway, come to think of it, no, that wasn't the last time I've seen him, but close. Hey, who man? Yeah, so I mean, so I realized that, oh boy, am I PW'd, you know. So, but anyway, but in that he was on that far edge of well, my dogs lick the bowl up, it's clean, and to the point though, dog lick is a lot cleaner than some water. But anyway, um, to him it was fine. He lived that way for years. Everything was good. Hey, Mark. Oh, Mark, finally. Is that what you mean? You're able to get in the. All right, everybody, say hi to Mark. He's tried to get in and out and tried to be a part of the chat. And we've had a couple of conversations on the phone. Y'all just give your love to Mark because he's tried to be in the chat. So, hey, Tracy, I'm in a foul mouth. You're a foul mouth critter. Oh, dog's mouth cleaner than mine. Yeah. Yeah. Show him you love, folks. And oh, by the way, Sunday, I'm here and I was on the phone with our dear friend and Miss Michelle. Hey, Michelle. I'm yapping at you. We was on the phone having a little chat, and up in the driveway comes my next door neighbors, Miss Sheila. And so I say, "Hey, Michelle, say hi to Sheila," because y'all have met in the chat room. So, but they met over the phone, kind of, sort of. But they brought me shrimp dinner of three different kinds of shrimp. Okay, I mean it was like kind of sort of boiled shrimp, and then there was battered shrimp, and oh my god, and the desserts. God love her, and Ricky too. So standing out in the yard talking with Michelle and having conversation and getting my supper from my dear neighbors for Father's Day. God bless them. But anyway, y'all are soul family. Okay, I'm just saying. Whether you meet each other in the chat room or we chat on the phone or not, the fact that we are family. Y'all don't forget that. Sheila and Ricky. Yep. My truly next door neighbor is, of course, there is a quarter mile through the woods. But anyway, three kinds of oh yeah, three kinds of, well, cooked three ways. The glitching could have been to get it to work. I meant to call you back, Mark, and just I had visitors and different things. and then I just forgot. Okay, I did want to call you back, and I forgot. Yeah, three different kinds of shrimp. Yeah, yeah, it was good. Yeah, and I really, I'm so grateful when people bring me stuff like that. But I don't. It's not like I sit here and long. Oh, I wish somebody would bring me a, you know, I'm going to be by myself on Father's Day. Man, I've been by myself on Father's Day a bunch of times. This ain't nothing new. But for somebody to think about me that, well, you're gonna be by yourself, ain't nobody cooking you dinner or nothing, or no. Well, that somebody has the forethought to think of someone other than themselves, like some folks I could talk about that I won't, who promise to text me, call me, and I still ain't heard from them. Versus someone who will literally go out of the way to make sure that you have a good dinner on Father's Day or your birthday. They cooked me a big meal for my birthday last year. God bless them. I just can't say enough. And so there are still good people in this world, um, and y'all are part of it. So don't forget it. You know, I know there are folks that go off and, well, nobody loves me, everybody hates me, I'm going to eat some worms. Well, okay, share them worms with somebody though. Uh, no worries, just yeah, I did, but sometimes my brain don't work just right. Sometimes it don't work at all. But yeah, smartphones. Yeah, and I had promises, but they didn't show up. But that's okay. I'm good with it. Oh, that's right, Tracy. Y'all went camping, so you had a good time. So anyway, but so with this idea of conveniences, so I'm not saying that folks should give up their phone and don't look, don't use some kind of, you know, Google thing or whatever. No, but there are some folks that don't know how to do anything without it, and that's what bothers me. That they can't do anything. It's just like, put it down. It's okay. It's all right to it's all right to I think they're going to have an app. Well, they got these little phones now that tell you what your heart's doing and what your heart rate is and all this other kind of stuff. And it's like, can you not put your hand over your chest and see if it's going? If you have to, can you not read a digital watch and count like the seconds? I mean, oh my God, they're hooked up all the time while they're sleeping, and they got this little phone on that track them. And uh, oh my God, so now the one of the recent things, and I don't know if it was Elon or somebody else that was discussing AI and so forth, that one of these TED talks or something is that we're going to have some kind of screens, or like the little eyepiece or something. We're all going to be pirates. Arr, and the little eye patch is going to be the screen. Well, they've already got similar things like that, and sort of like VR, but in real time for you. You can walk down the street and you got a little visor and you can watch a movie on it or whatever it is. Like, if you got to walk down the street and watch a movie or listen to something, okay, but watch it. You have to watch something while you're walking. All right, now maybe you got a long bus ride or something. Okay, or you train from town to town or commuting, and you got a lot of time sitting. Okay, but this idea that I have to be attached and constantly be able to monitor. I didn't open the computer at all yesterday. Not a lick. And maybe parts of Sunday too, because I just said no. And in a couple of channels that I had, I missed a couple of things. Um, but was it life threatening or life altering or life whatever? No. I just missed a couple things. No big deal. Caught up. And some of them were like, not available on the next day. Okay, I missed it. But am I any worse for wear? I honestly don't know. Jody, how are you? Yeah, me too, Steve. I'm not quite as well. I still do have that work till you drop theory. My problem is I drop just a lot quicker now than I used to. Boy, do I drop like a rock. Boom. So that's my current bitch. Is it is so hot and sultry this time of year, and happy solstice day, everybody. Sort of yesterday, but we're sort of still in it. So, um, you know, first day of summer. Oh boy. So we got the next 2 months are just going to be sucky. We can pretty much agree on that one. Uh, and of course, I keep talking about my birthday only because it's in September and the weather cools down. Yay, team. So come my birthday time, it'll be time to cool down. So but that's only 3 months away. So, we're getting closer to that and cool weather. I know some people are like, well, we still have ice on the damn ground up here on the Canada border. Yeah, and I get it. I know different parts of the world, different latitudes and longitudes and different stuff. I get it. But as far as the season goes, yes, we are officially into summer. And so um, we've got that to look forward to. But my current complaints about things are that I just can't hold up the way I used to outside. And the humidity and everything is just so we'll make it through. At least I hope so. Knock on wood. I've made it this far. Somebody was over to my house the other day, and it was 107 degrees heat index, pushing 110. It was seven anyway, and it was like 96 outside. I mean, real in the shade, next to against the house, 96 degrees. So they asking me how I'm doing and do I need an air conditioner? And they walk into my house, which I don't. I do have an air conditioner, but I don't. It's not working at the moment. And but I'm still using the same methods that I've been using for years. At nighttime, I got windows down here on the west side of the house that's drawing in cool air from the swamp and from the lower and the cool night air, and it's going out that window that's being sucked out by a fan on the other opposite end of the house. So the air is flowing through the house. I got a fan upstairs that blows the hot air down and keeps it circulated this way in the house. And so they came in and they were like, "Well, it's so hot outside," and they were like, "But damn, it's nice in here, and you ain't got an air conditioner on." I said, "No." So outside temperature was 96. I got two over here on the wall, two thermometers. One's a little one, one's one of them bigger one outside ones, but they sit over there, and I use them to check between them. So one says it's 82 and a half, and the other says 80, 84. Now it's 96 right outside that window, but it's only 84 in here. And I got the fans on. So when the house cools down, um, and it's about 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning, then I close these windows on this end of the house and keep the cool air in. Now, I've been testing. I got one of these little point and click thermostat thingies, right? So I'm doing my friend. And I said, look at the floor. He's like, well, you need this and that. And I said, watch this. So I pointed it down at his feet on the floor, concrete floor, and it was 86 degrees. Well, that's 10 degrees cooler than outside. And I went across the floor from in front of him and over to the bathroom over here, which has got like 3 inches more concrete in the floor, and Duggar's in there. And the temperature's 81 degrees on the floor. Now, all this floor is connected, right? It's all concrete, but it's 84 degrees, 86 degrees over here, and it's 81 degrees in the bathroom. So, the floor transfers the heat from cool to hot to hot to cold. Now, right now, let me see what it is. Okay, it's 82. Right, I'm just pointing it down here at the floor. And it was 84 earlier. So now the floor is cooling off, which is helping to cool the house down. And it's also when it'll reach about 80 degrees after all night long, and in the morning because I checked. And so it collects or transfers 4 degrees of heat simply by being the floor. That's all. Simply by being the floor, it helps keep the house cool. Simply by being the floor. It's called thermal mass. Now, I studied this years ago, but with all of this, like my own evidence, you know, trying to convince other people that, oh, well, I can't live, and it's too hot, and it's too this, and it's too that. Well, if you learn to use natural things, now there are some people whose houses are maxed to the as far as their um, insulation factor, right? But so I'm talking to some of these folks, and they go, "Well, we keep our air conditioner at 66." And but when I go out and they say, "But it's so hot outside." Well, I know. I grew up in Florida. All right, so everything is air conditioner. You walk out of the air conditioned house and get in your air conditioned car, and you drive around until you get to a place that's air conditioned, and and your body never acclimates. So in this new world of convenience, it's convenient to try to keep your temperature to some artificial degree. So folks are like, yeah, we only turn our it's at 66. Like, what? It's summertime for crying out loud. You want your house at 66? Well, it's cool. Yeah, but so when you go outside, you die. When it's 84 in my house and I go outside, there is still a shock to my system of the 12 to 15 degree difference, depending on the time of day and what the temperature actually is outside. So, but without an air conditioner, it's easier for me to acclimate to the hotter weather. Other people it's nuts on them. Oh my God, oh my God. And I'm like, you could just turn the air conditioner to like 75. 75 degrees on a 95-degree day is like, it's not cool enough for you. I'm, I, and they bitch because their air conditioner, their electric bills are too much. They won't acclimate. So the appliances of heating and cooling to make our lives easier and more comfortable, the convenience of it is not helping society. If they're using up more electricity than they should be, because if they would, you know, what it's 80 degrees is uncomfortable to you, because in the wintertime you try to keep your house at 80 degrees. But in the summertime, when it's 80 degrees in your house, it somehow ain't cool enough, even though it's 102 outside. Oh, well, Dave, don't bitch at me. I like my cool. Okay. But then don't say a word about your electric bill to me. I don't want to hear it. But I'm old and the electric bill. My electric bill was $37 and I had to pay $2 late fee because I was a day late in paying it. Because I use fans, I use nature, I use the time of day, and I acclimate myself to the current temperatures of the summer. Yeah, I'm still hot. I mean, I still sweat. It ain't like it's that this idea that it has to be 65 in the house in the summertime for me to be comfortable. That's insanity. But people have been convenienced to death. Is it 111? Did I get it? 111? The name Dane Wigington? Yeah. Now, see, I am absolutely stuck on fans. If I didn't have a fan blowing on me, I, you know, but not in the wintertime. I don't have to have anything blowing on me. But Texas under attack. Yeah, in a lot of ways, I think so. You had your furnace on in the middle of, wow. Yeah, humidity here in South Georgia. Well, it's bad in Florida and Texas and Mississippi, Alabama, all along around the Gulf. It's always about um, Mark. Um, Over the years, depending on where you live, down here in South Georgia, um, that it just depended on the season. You know, I remember when in April of I was still married to my last whatever. In April, it started being 90, and it stayed in the 90s and hundreds for until like October the 15th or something. It was horrendous. I mean, and no water. But so the idea that in our lifetimes, I remember things living here and noticing other things because I had relatives in other states and so forth. And people say, "Oh, it's never been like that." Yes, it has. Yes, it has. Oh no, it's never been like this. And I meant was, but you can only. And I'm not talking about you, Mark, but there are some folks that go, oh, in my lifetime, yeah, but you ain't but 20 years old, you know, and you don't pay attention to the weather and stuff. But anyway, but there are folks who swear to God. And then it's been a couple of months ago, but the local uh, Channel 6 out of Tallahassee, they actually did a thing. And I'd been kind of sort of bitching about it to people, and they were like, oh, it's never been like this. And then they said, on the news in front of it was like this, but it's been 35 years ago and blah, blah, blah. And on this date, and I went, nee, 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 and all those people around here, they were like, oh, it's never been like this. People are becoming the bored. I believe that, Mark. And also, the forecast future of this is that people are going to want to have some type of um, alteration physically so that they will be wired, that you won't have to plug anything in. You will be plugged in, be it some type of you know oral thing here, like a headset that's implanted, or it's uh, or some kind of visual thing. And I mean, and then there's the board where you would actually get some type of ocular device, and that it would tap into your own eye. uh, Not me. About every 50 years, yeah. And sometimes, like down here, there's like a 7 or 10 year cycle. It kind of varies, but we haven't had any real bad weather as far as, knock on wood, hurricanes since Michael. Now we've had some hit the Gulf and so forth, but it's last year was way too quiet. We could have used some, but so and it depends on whether or not the Gulf is active or not. It depends on whether or not it's a La Nina or a low Nina or or no Nina. Who knows? Um, it's the people who want to be connected. Now I just don't. you know, the computer's enough, and it sits right here. Yeah, the Borg have already assimilated the apes. Yeah, and there are more people becoming an ape-like every day. I swear to goodness, human. How are you, by the way? Um, oh, and Isby, howdy. I'm sorry, I missed you too. Oh, and I know you called the other day, and I just been kind of scatterbrained, and I regret that I did not, that I did not call you back, my friend. So, um, my tiny little brain has they've been keeping it busy. Okay. So, but anyway, 2 minutes. I got my little, I got my little bowl here ready. But for one of the strange things, I mean, I think that at times, and some of the people that I respect, but I'm like, they can, it's almost like they can't breathe unless they're using an app or their phone or something, and it's just like I just want to I just want to be a sort of a bully in a way to where I just reach out and I go, and I just slap them on the hand and go, just stop that. The overbearing parent or something. Just reach out, just slap them on the hand and just, you stop that nonsense. Not that it would do any good, but that's how it, as a cranky old grandpa, you stop that shit, you little rat trap, but not that anybody's going to pay any attention because they're already locked into it. It's cool to them. And okie dokie. So back in the day, when a washing machine just had wash on it, there wasn't a delicate cycle. There might have been a permanent press for whatever that was. It had hot and cold and warm. That was that. That's it. Just a couple of knobs on the top, right? And so there was a lot of times if there were women in the household, there were dainties hanging in the bathroom. Okay. Underwear, bras, whatever, because they hand washed them ladies, grandmas back then, and daintily hung them on a shower curtain or whatever in the bathroom because they were the dainties. They didn't want to hang them out on the line, and they didn't want to put them in the dryer if we had a dryer. That was the other thing. Our clothes got hung out on the line because we didn't have a dryer until later because it had to go out on the back porch. There was no room in the house for it. So um, same thing with grandma. She washed her dainties in the sink. So, but now some lady friends of mine, now not recently, but not in the last 2 years, would refuse to wash them in the sink because guess what? Their washing machine has a delicate cycle. And I'm like, but a little water in the sink, a little soap, a wash, 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 hang them out, it's done, right? No, that's not good enough now. For generations, thousands of years, whatever, wash your dainties and hang them on the. No, now you have to use the delicate cycle. Not only must you use the delicate cycle in the washing machine, then you use the delicate cycle in the dryer. But they're delicates. Can't you just hang them up? Can't you just like wave them around and they're almost dry? I mean, seriously? But because it says delicate, now they have to use it. They feel compelled to use the delicate cycle. Um, um, Seriously? Yep, it's a 20. Now, here I am still talking to man, still coughing. Woo, that is a good one. Let me tell you. I hope yours was as good as mine. But so, in all of this, I know I'm talking about the water and washing it, but that's just the simplest thing I could do about um, as far as the connection, you know, the apps for delicates. But another thing, you know, like cars today, all right, they've got 10-speed automatics. They don't even have shift knobs anymore. They got a little button this big around that you turn. And I'm like, this ain't even a car anymore. Where's my truck? Where's the 5-speed on the floor like I got on mine? You can't buy a standard transmission. What? I can't buy a vehicle that I can shift with a clutch? No, they're all automatics and stuff now. Well, then I ain't buying one. Well, why is that, Mr. Dave? Because if the battery runs out with with all of these electronic components that are on cars these days, it's really easy for the car not to start because there's so much electrical draw on the system that the battery might actually show good, but the car won't start because it's not strong enough because of all the electrical things. Not counting electrical cars that ain't running as long as they're supposed to. And the battery issues and charging, oh boy. You know, are we being sold? They are being sold a bill of goods, but the reason I got a standard or stick shift is because you can push start it. If your battery's dead, I can push my vehicle and pop the clutch and go somewhere. And with any luck, if my alternator's still working, it will recharge my battery. Okay. But if you're in an automatic transmission of any kind, you ain't going nowhere. Okay. Nowhere. We even tried back in the day, oh, if you got it to 45 and that it would the car would start with an automatic transmission. I think we got one to start one time. But pulling with a chain downhill on which there ain't any hills in Florida hardly. But but you can hand push two people. I have pushed my truck up the hill by hand. Okay, got in it, and it was hard to push it uphill. Let me tell you, got in it because I was facing uphill. I had to start it in reverse, so I got in it, put it in reverse, popped the clutch, pushed with my left foot, and got enough speed up for my little hill going backwards to pop the clutch on my truck and get it to start. Where I had no other way to get it to start. I need to go somewhere right away. And so, but to the point, you ain't never going to do that with an automatic. So, but to the other point, their automatics have been prevalent for so many years now that if somebody said, you know, they were visiting me or whatever, um, that, you know, Dave, I couldn't take you to the hospital if you needed to go. Why is that? Because I don't know how to drive a stick shift. Your vehicle isn't an automatic. I've only driven automatics. Now, this was a recent thing that happened a few months back. a person was like, he said, you'd have to teach me how to drive with a clutch because I've never done it. And I'm like, seriously? And, the comment, well, I have driven a tractor with a clutch. Yeah. Well, and the stick. Yeah. Well, then you kind of sort of know. But he'd never driven a car on the road in traffic or anything like that with a stick shift. So it's like, um, so these folks who are under 25 that literally have never hardly ever seen a stick shift. Um, wait, the world's coming to an end, and you need to get somewhere, and your battery's dead, and your automatic transmission, but you've got a full tank of gas. But here's this little old car down the road, no truck like mine, but it's got a stick shift in it. You can push it to start it if you know how. You don't even need a battery hardly. So the end of the world comes, you're just going to get squashed because I'm gonna be in my little stick shift and drive it around, right? But the thing is though, society is such that there's a whole group of people who have never seen a stick shift. They what aren't they just in big trucks and stuff? I mean, what? So it's like it's a disconnect. Well, it's so convenient to have a 10-speed transmission. Wait a minute, but it's a pickup truck. I know. Wait, it's a pickup truck. Yeah, I know. And it's automatic. You mean you don't have a standard show enough clutch transmission for these new Fords or these new? Nope. They're all automatic. Yeah. I don't want to buy one then. Period. Yeah. Nope. I'm going to go buy an old Ford or a Chevy or something, or an old Dodge. God knows. Um, I'm going to fix my old Isuzu before I even think about any of these new vehicles that don't have a clutch. Hell no. Sorry. Uh, yeah, stick shifts. I mean, with all the troubles that I've had with my truck, which, by the way, knock on wood, I changed, I put a new gas cap on, and I quit having certain issues. The reason is because these new vehicles are fuel injected types, and that means they have to have a certain amount of pressure in the line. And so these pumps pump up and certain pressure in the fuel rails to go to the thing, and that's the carburation, right? Well, I'm watching the channel, and the guy says that if you haven't changed your gas cap, and I went, wait a minute. And I got to thinking about it. I was like, my gas cap, when I took it, undid it, it used to go push. And when was the last time I undid my gas cap and it went push? And I went, oh my God, could that be because there's pressure in the system and it was acting like that? It was acting like it was running out of gas? It was. There wasn't enough pressure in the system. Now, I still am going to change my um, fuel pump, but by changing out the the gas cap, it started running. I mean, I'm like, knock on wood, but as long as it's running out, plus it's hotter than hell outside in the gnats. But it was the dead part of the issue was the dadgum um, fuel cap. And it was $10, $12 for an OEM kind. Semis, even an automatic. Yep, they are exactly. Three on the tree. Yep. Oh God, to ship. If somebody got in one of them cars these days, now here's the honest to God real truth. I had a '51 Chevrolet pickup truck, and had it for a long time, and didn't want to sell it, but I was in a bad way and was supposed to. Anyway, it ended up in a junkyard, which really pissed me off in the end. It could have stayed here. But somebody had promised they were going to fix it and put it back, and it ended up going to the junkyard. And anyway, so with my 51, oh, where was I going with that? Oh, so the story that it was down at the Ford um, dealership back when I bought it. Oh God, in the early 70s, and so I paid like $150 for this 51 Chevrolet. Now it was blowing smoke and had a crack block and all that. And so I get in this thing and I'm talking with the guy and he goes, he said, old black man. And I'd seen this truck parked at the Roses parking lot because I'd been in Moultrie for a while and I'd seen this truck. He always parked it up on the hill. I was just curious, just okay. Um, and I had worked at the hamburger joint that there's still a business there, but that was in the Roses parking lot. So I could see this guy, pull, the old black man, park up there. Anyway, so 6 months after being in Moultrie, this old pickup truck is for sale. So I go down to the Ford guy, and I'm talking to the guy, and he goes, he just brought it in, and he said, he bought this truck, the 51, brand new, and he's been driving it all these years, and I'd seen it around Moultrie and stuff. And he said, he had wished that they'd put a reverse in it. Now here's the thing, and they all the guys laughed at him, and he was like, "Well, why are you laughing?" And the guy got, the salesman got in this old man's truck, started it up, which was a push button on the floor, 6 volt, by the way, and he shifted up into reverse, which was up and back and all the way up, right, Steve? And no one had showed him that there was a first or a reverse because it was here and here, and then when you shifted into second and third, it shifted over and up and down, and so nobody had showed him to pull it back to put it into first. He'd always parked it up on the hill at Roses, so he was pointing downhill. So he was always starting in second gear, never knew it had a reverse, but it was a 51 and this was like in the 70s. So for 20 years or so, he drove this Chevrolet, never had a lick of problem, loved it, blah, blah, blah. But he told the guys that he wished that it had a reverse. Come to find out, nobody had showed him how to shift, to pull that three on the column backwards and up to get in reverse. And I still have the transmission, by the way, in the shed. It's been rebuilt, but I still have the transmission. I don't have the truck, but I got the transmission. But so anyway, there are times when even if you have the convenience, if you don't know about the convenience, that he made 20 years worth in that old truck just fine. Had to park up on the hill, but he just adapted his own lifestyle. But he was so proud of his pickup truck, he didn't care if it had a reverse or not. But in his new one, he was saying, he was hoping they had a reverse in this one because he was tired of parking up on the hill and or doing certain things. But understanding what the old man did, he could have asked somebody. Nobody said anything. Hey, you're going Amish? Yep. But even they're using some tech. Now, see, I'm not against tech. I'm not. I really am not. There's some really cool stuff out there. All right. There are some really cool digital platforms and animation programs. I mean, I went back to school for AutoCAD 3D, and I've learned how to do 3D modeling and all that kind of thing back in the day. And there, we had to wait for the screen to refresh, that the computers were so slow. and now they blink and but anyway, so there are certain things about technology I absolutely love, and I'm so glad that this technology, like for engineering purposes and things, to be able to build a model of the different components, put them together in a 3D model, stack up, and make and see watch the thing in motion before you build it is cool. All right. You can check tolerances and clearances and that kind of thing, which until you build it and you do it, you might not be able to do that sort of thing. You don't. You have to do dry runs, and it might take you 2 or 3 weeks to do if something is within a couple of 0.003, 0.001 plus or minus 3. So, gave you 6 thousandths. Well, a human hair could be 9 thousandths. So you're talking about really small details. But um, in machinery that needs to have those types of tolerances and things in making products, people have no idea how much money goes into, like, say, the tooling on something, or how much metal costs, what goes into the making of the parts to make the parts. You know, I mean, I look at these big tractors and things and stuff, and I go, that's a really big piece of machinery. But think about the machine that made it. What? Yeah, think about the machine that made the machine you're looking at that's really big and, holy crap. Yeah, really, so my mom's van is keyless now. Yeah, the push the button thing, I'm sorry, I wanted to at least pretend, you know. I want to hear that ring. I just want to turn that key. I just I think they've tried to see there was a whole generation. And I taught a couple of these engineer types, literally, who were um, uh, there was two from Georgia Tech. They were interns. I was trying to look for the word. They were interns that were in the engineering program at Georgia Tech, and one was at Mercer, was in engineering. And this one guy from Mercer, he was dumb as a box of rocks. I mean, he really was. He just assumed that the computer was going to fix his issues without having to understand how to drill a hole in a piece of metal and what the speed of the drill bit should be. Well, wait a minute. What? Yeah, the speed of the drill bit. Well, you just turn the drill on, and no, if it's a great big hole and you're trying to drill it, you have to slow the speed down, and you have to be able to, what? Yeah, you don't. Um, did you know that there are different sized drill bits if you want to tap a hole? Well, what? Have you ever read a machinist handbook? Do you even know what one is? So here are these guys who are graduating with honors in the A minus plus, category of Mercer and at Georgia Tech as engineers, and they had never drilled a hole in a piece of metal, and had never taken a tap and die set, and nope. My daughter has done that, but these folks are graduates of engineering and have never worked a milling machine. Well, but everything's CNC now. Yeah, but sometimes you got if something breaks, you got to have a program in that CNC. So if you just have something that breaks, but you've got an old lathe and you need to turn down a piece of metal, you need to chuck something up in a vise in a milling machine and take a little off or make a little thing, drill a hole, tap it, blah blah blah, so you can fix something right away. It, but if you don't, if something just breaks and you don't have that program in your fancy dancy, you know, CNC milling machine, then that milling machine ain't worth a crap. It's the programmer and the programming that makes the CNC work. Otherwise, it's just a piece of machinery. But if you're a machinist, you can take a drill press and turn it into a lathe. There's if you need to fix something, there are ways to use machines to help you make it, right? So, but these guys are like, but I don't know, my CNC's broke. Well, so go back there in the shop. There's a lathe. There's a Bridgeport milling machine back there. There's this and that. Go make the part. But uh, but but do you know what a set of dial calipers are? Oh, instruments. Oh my God, measuring instruments. Some of these guys had never used, and honest to God, put there are steel plates, flat plates, granite plates that they call them surface plates, and that you put your gauge on, whatever you're going to measure with, and then you put your part on it. And they have these things called Cadillac gauges. They're real tall, and you can spin them up, you can spin them down, but whatever you're measuring, you measure it, and then you go over the Cadillac gauge, and you check it, and you come back over here, then you go back over there with your gauge, and for precise measurements. These engineers didn't even know what a Cadillac gauge was, let alone how to use one or what an indicator. But oh my God! So, but these new folk who are in the new engineers who are making things, they're the crazy sons of bitches who are 8 and 10 speed transmissions when put a regular old 5 speed shifter in there you know. So it's a hybrid engine. It doesn't have to have a hybrid transmission to go with it. Oh, yes, it does. Because all these guys with all these gadgets, and well, we can do this and we can do that and blah blah blah. You know, one of the things that we did growing up was learn how to parallel park. And now it's done with the computer and the mirrors and the gadgets and stuff. Hey, David Castle, how are you? Oh God, Steve, my first computer, it had, get this, it had a 30 megabyte hard drive. And my first computer was an Acer, and it was a good one too for its time. And um, it was a 286, the fastest clock speed I could buy at that time, and it was like $1,400. And that was like, even with a little small thing, would hardly barely run the 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 stock version of AutoCAD 2D, let alone 3D. Megabyte, not gigabyte, not terabyte, megabyte. The people have, you can take a picture down. Uh, you can take a picture on your cell phone that's 3 megabytes, and the whole hard drive was only 30. You couldn't have put 10 pictures on that hard drive. And they were huge, big, bulky, hard drives, and made lots of noise. And that was back in the day when you had them big five and a quarter, three and a half, five and a quarter discs, floppy, but big, twisty, floppy thingies. And they hold a whopping 250K kilobytes, not megabytes, not KB. So you could have 250 KB on one of those things, which you couldn't even put one of our pictures off our phones. They're bigger than what that whole drive, what that whole floppy could hold. And then they got into the 3.5 hard disk ones, right? Made it more convenient, and they were. But oh my God, you could get up to 500K kilobytes, and then they actually got to a 1.2, I think, megabytes per disk. And so, yeah, have we come a long way, baby? Yep. And way back when I said one of these days, because I've had several hard drives crash, just quit working, lose everything, drawings, pictures, oh my God. And I said, one of these days they're going to make, now this was years ago. I said, somebody's going to come up with the idea where you're going to have a storage without any moving parts, which is what all these little things they got now are. And so my prediction way back when came true. When I first started seeing these little memory cards and sticks, I got down on one knee and said, "Take it, Jesus." Of all the things in tech wise, that was a cool thing. The little memory sticks and stuff. That's it. That is it, brother. Because back in the day, I still have drawers of 5.5 inch. I'm sorry, the 3.5 inch discs, and I don't even have a one of those disc players, but I've still got them, and some of them are fresh and never been used. I mean, they're still blank, but where others I've got, it took 12 discs for like one program, and you have to put them in disc one, take it out, wait, put it in disc two, blah, take it out, put it. Now you just go this, goes, it's done, and it's like 30 gigabyte versus 20 megabyte, which was a big program back in those days. But anyway, enough of that. So, but for me, the biggest thing, and I think for in the future, are the memory sticks. Being able to put a lot on a small thing that doesn't move. There's no moving parts. So um, that's going to go a long way. Oh, and by the way, they got that technology from the aliens. Just saying. Hey, Regen, they don't know how to use them. Yeah, you're absolutely right. What's a micrometer? Yeah. What the hell is a micrometer? Yep. Yep. The little cards. I've got one of those little chips that will like fit in your phone, right? Um, and it's 128 gig or something like that. And I think it's 64 gig at least. I bought one because I got my phone and everything. I'm sorry, my um, camera. And so, what used to take big, I've got one that took CDs, right? The small CDs, and you injected them in the side. And cards are huge, and you had to use the 3.5 inch floppies that actually went in the back of the camera. Um, so the coming out of the traditional, I've got $1,000 worth or more of lenses, but they go on. They're the bayonet type that go on an SLR camera, a 35 millimeter. I've got telephoto lenses. I've got fisheye lenses, and nobody wants them. And I'm gonna keep them. I don't know if I'll ever use them, but this one telephoto lens, the thing is this long, and I know it was hundreds of dollars in its day, and there's nothing wrong with it, not a scratch on it. But it's for a bayonet type SLR, the regular 35 millimeter, with filters and all this stuff. And now on your cell phone, you just pick what you need in a menu, and it takes care of all that basically is in this box of thousands of dollars worth of lenses. things have come a long way, baby. Let me tell you. So in that area, that's cool. But at the same time, there's physically to be able to tune those lenses to get that picture. And you didn't know until you took it, either developed it yourself or had it developed. You couldn't look at it immediately and go, "Oh, I need to change the brightness on this." Ooh, and then take two or three more or 100 more that goes on this little piece of plastic stick. It's just amazing. So, thumbs up for them guys for that. Thumbs up for the hard drives that don't have no moving parts now. That the one I've got down here, knock on wood, because it's got no moving parts, it hasn't crashed. And thank you, thank you Jesus, because of that. The faster processors and so forth, that's all cool, but not nearly as impressive as the memory thing or like the camera lenses. And it's not all in the lenses, by the way, it's in the programming of what the lenses see. So, you know, it's the interpretation of what is seen, because the first digital cameras were like 680 or something like that. Um, by 400 or something, as far as pixels and all that. And they were real blocky and choppy, and. So the big deal over the years was to get them pixels that were square to be more round. And if there were more of them, then the more pixels there were, then it wouldn't have little square edges on them pixels. So now you get them to where you can't zoom in close enough to see a square spot. You know what I mean? So that, to me, that's all good. But now for that to be all of your life or whatever, and this, there are so many people who are focused in that. Now, if they were some of the things that are being created, I got some folks who do some TikTok stuff and things and stuff, and they got lots of views and things, but they're not it they're to me they're wasting their time and energy. They're making stuff and people are seeing it, but what's it doing? Well, it's making them laugh. But yeah, you need a job, and you just spent 7 hours yesterday in making these TikTok videos. Do you have a job yet? No. Um, how you gonna pay your rent? I don't know. Well, you're late on your rent this month. Yeah, I know. And you like to smoke weed, don't you? Yeah. Well, you're smoking weed. Where'd you get the weed? Well, so you bought the weed and you're playing TikTok all the time, and but you ain't paid the rent and you don't have a job. And so where's your prospects? So in that respect, I look at technology and I go, holy crap, we are so screwed, because there's a whole generation now of folks in their early to mid and even to their late 20s, when doing a TikTok video is more important than like earning money. you know, oh, well, the good Lord will provide. And if I think about it, I can manifest anything. Okay, so you're going to manifest yourself a chicken dinner? Well, no, I'm sitting here on the couch and, I'll check a nap and somebody feels sorry for me and send me some money and I'll order it online. Then I'll have, the dump truck deliver it. And I won't even have to get out of my chair because it's so convenient. You know what I mean? So even as old as I am, almost 70, I got to keep playing that. But that I still want to do things the old fashioned way, damn it. I, now we could for many years be able to call up and order something and go pick it up. But to have it now, one thing, I live way out here in the country. Don't nobody want to drive 20 miles from Thomasville one way, because that's 20 miles back, and that's an hour's worth of driving in the long run. So, you're going to have to pay somebody good. But for me, I want to take the drive. I want to drive into the local pizza place and pick up my pizza if I don't eat it there. And so it's the idea of going out to the pizza place, watching whatever's on the big screen, or, and maybe having a beer back in the day when I drank, and just sitting and chilling out and, and being in the pizza place. I ain't wanted to go to a pizza place for a while, but I do still want to drive into town and get them. You know what I mean? So I still want to be involved where other people are like, nah, just have it delivered. Is that the pizza person? And when was the last time you went and got your own? Why? Well, you live in town and you can have it delivered. So why should you go and pick it up? Well, because they deliver. Okay. And it's convenient. You hear what I'm saying? So some of the conveniences because of the cell phones and the apps and the deliveries and the fact that people are basically, they don't have to move at all anymore. You see some of these commercials and where it's the COVID and the thing, and I can call up and my pet stuff comes and the dogs are sitting at the window waiting on the pet supplies to come in. And I'm just, so we don't have to go anywhere. If you live in town or close enough to town, you don't have to go anywhere. And if you've got some kind of income, then you don't have to leave your yard. You can hire Umpty Scrunch to come in and do your yard work on whatever that app is that picks, you need a plumber, call this guy, get on this app. You wanted this, get on this app. You know, um, If you want to pick a partner that is gay or lesbian, then you use eHarmony. And if you want to meet somebody or something, then you use this app. If you want to have such and such, if you want a colonic, you can use this app and stick it up your. Oh, never mind. I'm getting a little rambunctious now, but there are. It's all about the app. Holy crap! Look at this. They just threw this over my shoulder. I've been hanging it right here on the corner right here, and this is it's a gourd. I know it looks like a torture device of some sort. That never mind, but yeah, clip off this end, and somebody could have a ball with this. Uh, Man, I've seen some of them who would rather enjoy this end, which is like the size of your fist, but we won't go into that. But anyway, it was interesting that it just got shoved over on my shoulder when it's been just hanging here by itself. It just popped off. I wondered who's back there. Oh, they're still on the eHarmony things. Now, I don't have anything against it. I really don't. I really, really, really don't. But what they're peddling, right? Oh, it's so convenient to use this app, and you can find your partner for life. It's so easy to use this app to order dog food because then your dog can sit and look out the window and wait on the truck. And then, so it's the disconnect. It's like get in your damn car, drive down to the damn store, and buy your own damn dog food and put it in your vehicle. Or get, I don't know if they have folks who will, you know, I used to be a bag boy, used to work for a grocery store back in the day. And, you'd get tips you could get $1 tip for just being nice to the old lady to take their car, and put their groceries in their trunk. Here's $1, Sonny. Thank you. Back then, you only made $2 an hour, or 210, 225. But somebody gave you $1 bill as a tip. Oh my God! So you learned how to be real nice and mean it. And here's a tip. Here's a tip. Here's a tip. But anyway, those days are changed. Some of these folks will go like, "You man, you supposed to tip me," and like, um, well, is that all? When it's like, well, how about I give you a dime? You know, I would give you a quarter, but you can't even make a phone call. Wait, Back in the day, it was like, here's a dime, call somebody who cares. Well, here's a quarter if you can find a phone booth. If you can find a phone booth. If you can't find a public phone anymore, I mean, it's like hard. So I can't even give you enough money for a phone call because they don't have public phones anymore, which is a shame, by the way. But so anyway, we were lucky and hopeful to get a tip, but we didn't expect a tip. But now folks expect a tip. And some of these folks that got their hair, these are the guys, they got their hair tied up with bows. I mean, they look like, um, uh, oh, who was it on the Little Rascals? Um, you know, oh, yeah, they are. Yeah, they are. However, I used this one dating site. It's probably 10 years ago now, at least. But I did meet up with someone and we did date for a while. And if it wasn't for the distance, we probably would still have some type of connection. But being old and having living, 150 miles apart from each other, and being old and living 150 miles from each other, and being old and living 150 miles. But anyway, um, but a sham, yeah. But did I actually meet someone and did we actually have a decent relationship? The answer is yes. But yeah, there's a bunch of scamming mostly. So fake profiles, yep. Yeah, real K connection. Yeah. Um, but I'm have gay family members and relatives and other folks that I've known, and so they seem to find each other okey doke on their own. I mean, but much less with traditional heterosexual kind of stuff. And I know that there are the men who's looking for that piece, and then there are those women who are looking for a bunch of pieces. In other words, how much money you got? What how what is your portfolio? And it's like, wait a minute. In their profile, this always gets me. You know, I want a man who's funny and is caring and is romantic and loves walks on the beach and stuff like that. And then when you quote meet someone that says that, they actually go, so, well, what kind of car do you drive? You know, what do you do for a living? What's your portfolio like? Well, wait, back up that bus. What about the walks on the beach? What about the romantic dinner? What about yeah, but I want to know what your portfolio is like first. Okay, bye. You know, bye. That goes back to the old Zappa songs with plastic boots and plastic hats. You know, brown shoes don't make it. Quit school. Why fake it? But so folks who want a true relationship, it's like, can they say all these things? And I think in their heart they really mean it. They want a funny guy, but they want, they want a funny guy who's got a yacht. They want a funny guy who could take them to the Mediterranean, on vacation. Okay. So it's like, but ain't everybody, been privileged enough to be able to have made that kind of money. I worked my ass off. I worked two, three jobs all the time. And, it was the job market. We had good jobs and then they all went south. There were, I was being paid a decent wage as a machinist. Those jobs went away. Decent jobs as, um, draftsman, or doing 3D like I was doing for big businesses, and for for machining, and for production. We lost thousands of jobs doing that, and thousands of people lost their homes and businesses, and things happened that we all had a plan, and I was well on the way to my you know the end of my 5-year plan. I was actually started, it was like a 7-year plan, but when I started thinking about the plan as a plan, I realized I was already about 2 years in. So I said, okay, so in the next 5 years, well, I got 3 years into it and damn near made it. And if I could have stayed another, if we could have held our jobs for another 2 years, they didn't have to go to Mexico. That I would have been able to be really sitting pretty now, instead of, having to hump some of this stuff. I would have been able to completed some projects. I'd have had more money and that kind of thing. But uh, the bottom line in this, though, is that there are so many conveniences. It was convenient for this guy from Pakistan to look at our plant and go, "Oh, these people, they white people, they make too much money. If they can do it, the people in Mexico can do it." And 6 months later, all of our stuff was being shipped south across the border. I was the second person in the state of Georgia to receive funds for extended benefits for unemployment, signed by the Bush guys. Pushed it through because of all that crap that they started. But so they told us back in the Clinton days that we were going to become a service oriented base. So you serve it, you work as a technician, you're servicing something. So when you look at it, we not a lot of as much manufacturing as there used to be. So the service economy, people are, they're working at McDonald's, and they're working at all these other places. They're selling clothes. That's a service industry. They're selling computers. They're not making them or fixing them, a little bit, but so it's service oriented. So they warned us back in the Clinton days exactly what we got, what the Democrats wanted us to become: service oriented. We don't know how to make shit, but we can sell it. We can move it. Oh, we can online create. But what is it actually? Hey, Red Jesus Radio, how you doing? I would date if there was somebody that, I'd date. I'm 70 years old. I'd date, you know. Um, but I ain't looking for love in any of the wrong places. You know what I mean? I did that before, but, I ain't dead yet. No. And there was a guy that I talked about him before. It was called the Goat Man. And he traveled all around the United States for years and years and years with his little band of goats and a little wagon. And they pulled his wagon and his cart, traveled a lot through Georgia, Florida. He was well more renowned in Georgia, Florida, Alabama for travel in this area. And it was the Goat Man. But even in his old age, where he got beat up on the road, and he had the teenagers and just malcontents, killed his goats, and he was old enough to get Social Security. So he got into a nursing home. But after being in a nursing home and meeting this lady, he got married at the age of like 72 in the nursing home with this lady. And I'm like, you go, Goat Man. So the idea that it's never too late or whatever, just, but I'm not openly looking. But if I met a woman and we hit it off, I would absolutely quote date, if that's I don't know if dating at my age is really the thing. You know what, Mark? I don't care what they wear. At this point, I don't care what they wear. But I'm an old nudist anyway, so you know. Oh yeah, narcissist. Oh yeah, this one lady. Now, for her age, she looked okie dokie, but she was no Jamie Lee Curtis at her age kind of thing. She was overweight. She was pouchy, poochy, and you know, a lot to grab on the back end. But you know, I had a bit of a pouch at the time and poochie and whatever. But you know, we're getting older, and that's okay. But the idea though that but she was, oh, look at me at my age, how lovely I am, and I was like, you know, you're cute, okie dokie, but you know, I'm not trying to be overly critical, but you really ain't all that. Oh, but yes, I am. Look at me and look. And I think she had to do it for her own self confidence kind of thing. But it was like she was a nice lady and down to earth and all that kind of good stuff. But there was a certain part of her that was, I don't know, it was, look how good I am and look. And I'm like, yeah, you know, um, the comment should have been, not bad for my age, versus look how great I look at my age. You could have pulled that number back some, you know. Um, but it was somehow that attitude. And guys are like that too. Now I just, you know, I am what I am, my old gray hair and this and that, and I shave my beard or whatever for, you know, to try to be nice. But I don't really like beards. Okay, you know, or whatever. But the idea though that some of these folks are just, can you, we just get together and have a good time? I mean, the sex is nice, and at my age it'd be great to have again. But the idea that sometimes you just want a companion. And my friend Marcia, who I do miss after all these years, and she's been dead now almost two, we used to do all kinds of stuff together, you know. And I miss the camaraderie of just hanging out, almost like the girls hanging out, or and she liked hanging out with me sometimes because it was like hanging out with the guys. We could talk about anything in any way, shape, or form. And we could be as gross as we wanted to. We could be as nasty about whatever we could, and it was just fun hanging out with her, or not be nasty. I mean, it wasn't like, you know, we had to. But to the point though, from this end to this end, and I miss having my gal pal to hang around with and to shoot the shit with, you know, and but there doesn't seem to be much of that anymore either, because the other side is say, well, he must want something. Let's start with friendship. Now, if it ever goes, you know, even if we kiss on the cheek just in meeting, or to give a slight hug, oh, but you know, we ain't even talking that. We're just, how about just being friends? And just, how about just being friends? Well, I don't know. And what do you, how about just being friends? My friend Marcia was 350 pounds. Okay. So if it was looks, it wasn't looks. You hear me? So it was who she was and the fun that we could have and the laughter and the companionship and the camaraderie that we had. And so, but I'm not looking like, oh, gotta have it. But if a person shows up, we'll go from there, you know? Now, here's the trick. Be 5 years ago, I would have swore that I was not going to be able to live unless I had a female companion, because that I thought was part of the deal. And my being a Libra and romantic and wanting to hold hands and sit on the back porch and watch the sunset or whatever, you know, to have that. I just knew I was going to have it. Well, after a bunch of tries, I still ain't got it. But then I realized that I was spending a lot of time, effort, thought, whatever, on that I had to have this female thingy, whatever, in order to make me complete for the rest of my life. And, through depression, oh, there's nobody out there for me. Okay. So, well, but I like the woman and and the romance and yeah, okay. But if there ain't nobody out there, then tough shit. Get over it. That was my conversation. But, and it was like, yeah, that but ain't get you nowhere, is it? All the time you spend on whatever dating sites or this or that or trying to find the right one, ain't none of it happened, has it, Dave? Nope. And all the hard pressed trying, when I look back over the years, I've wasted a freaking lot of time on trying to find that special one. And here's the thing, in all that energy to try to find them, maybe if I had just let things kind of go on their own, I might have actually run across somebody through just natural whatevers. But I had to look for them. I had to find them. And, you know, I just put my hands up and go, well, now recently I have met someone that a friend of mine told me later, they said, you know, I think such and such has got a crush on you. Now she's an older woman in my age kind of thing, of a different racial background than me, but nice, intelligent. And what? She likes me. What? Yeah, she said, come by and see her and drop in. And you all the same age. You like the same kind of things. She finds you interesting. Really? No shit. Okay. So then that's recently. That's within the last 3 weeks. Okay. And so it's like, all right, but I'm not looking. Okay. But at the same time, she is a nice lady. We have had conversation before. I wouldn't mind hanging out with her, to get to know her better or whatever. But, we're both old people. So, but, and am I looking to date her and we're going to, get it on? And how about we just, do you like to play cards? Do you like to play gin rummy? Do you like to play, you know, um, uh, any kind of board games or anything? Or you like to just hang out? Do you like, go to a concert or, just go to the park or that's different, because that's what I missed with my friend Marcia. So, but anyway, but she is a nice looking woman for her age. I just, um, but do I think right now that anything's going to happen? I don't know. I'll call her. We have mutual friends that we check on each other. So who knows? I might run across her again, or maybe I'll call her and pursue her. Who knows? But at this particular point in time, I have not been actively looking. But if she was someone who I have met naturally and we connected versus trying to find someone or you're on the hunt, it it changes, it's different. So I don't know, but to the point of other people though, um, I just know that I spent a crap load of time on something. Oh, it's 2:21, isn't it? Yeah, okay, I still got some. Oh, she already knows that. 69 and 3/4 officially tomorrow. Well, I don't have too many guy friends around either that are still alive or willing to do anything, who aren't busy all the time with their own family. Okay. And so, but the fact that she's single and getting old like me, and not too many people to talk to or neighbors or whatever, that puts us in a category that it's just like, hey, you want to chat? What you doing today? Versus not necessarily feeling lonely, but just wanting to reach out and chat with somebody, or you used to be able to call up a buddy and go, hey, let's go grab a beer, or how about I come by and we'll play some rummy or something, or watch a movie, whatever, right? Just go hang out with somebody. And I don't got nobody anymore at this particular juncture of going over and hanging out like I used to, so to have a conversation with an intelligent woman who's not out looking for anything in particular, except like maybe friendship. And Okay, good conversation, um, good communication skills, and sharing and laughing and having a good time. That means more than 5 or 10 minutes worth of sex. Of course, it always took me 30, but anyway, um, 5 minutes? What? I'm just getting warmed up. But anyway, I'm sorry. That was TMI. Too much information right there. But anyway, um, the simple fact that she's um, not fugly. You hear me? Fugly? What does that mean? Effing ugly. But anyway, there are some grandmas that just look like, oh my God, they look worse than my grandma did when she died. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but we can be, it's hard to just, never mind, you know. But somehow the lady friends always seem to have an agenda. I my agenda is be friends, and we'll see about anything else. Friendship, period. Communication. Holding hands, maybe a hugging or something, or watching the. Don't mean we got to fraternize any other way, But the idea that somehow though that and ladies, I love you all, I do, but I don't know if it's a certain women's mindset or something. But the women that I've met of this age group, of this, my age roughly, and there's similarities in what they expect out of their men. What? Yeah, that's certain things that they expect out of their men. Well, for me, if you're a woman, do you like to do? Do you like to do some manly things like go fishing? Now you don't have to actually fish, but would you go along? You know, um, are there are there things that you know, um, or are you just going to be that little? No, I'm sorry, I can't do that. Oh, but my nails. Oh, but then you're not my type. Okay. Now you can put nail polish on because I've known a few women put their polish on, but on the weekends they'd be down in the mud and kayaking or fishing or doing something, man. And so, okay, um, not afraid to get your hands dirty, not afraid to get your feet wet, you know, um, would still like an adventure, if you will, you know, of just going someplace new that you've never been before without expectations. But so anyway, but I think that these days everything has been turned into the virtual. So, if you don't virtually like somebody, then what the hell, you know? And I just think that's sad on so many levels. And having been there, having played the dating game and having gone online and done these things, so I have the experience of, you know, don't try this at home, if you want. But I did get meet someone, and we were copacetic. And if it hadn't been for age and distance, we might still be at least dating each other. But out of the hundreds of communications and whatever, only one. Not a very good score, for any of them, and for the price and all that other kind of crap. So, but people do what they want to do. They're going to spend money on what they want to spend their money on. And I think we should just learn how to get together more often. And if you hit it off with somebody, you do in person, you know, because that's how you really tell. And then sometimes I've met people in person, like my last several wives, and it ended up being worthless anyway because they expected whatever it was out of me and wouldn't take me just for who I am. I mean, work all the time. If you only make $10 an hour, and that's the only job that you can get without showing up moving to some bamboozle place. Well, I got property. I ain't moving. So I'm sorry, but so if the top pay in my area down here is $12 an hour, and I happen to be making 12.50, so I'm a little ahead of the curve, and I'm working 45, 50 hours a week with overtime. And so, because I want to pay off this place and build my house and all that, because I want to invest in the money that I have, which is what I did. But, I didn't make enough money. Well, I was killing it compared to a lot of other people because I was making 50 cents more an hour than the top pay in this area, which was right at $12 an hour at the time, and I'm making 12.50, and that was back in the '80s, so it's like not bad, because in the late '90s and early 2000s, I was still only making $14 an hour as an engineer. So as a machinist, I made 12.50, but after all them years in tech and college and everything, I only made $2 more an hour as an engineer and as a draftsman. You know, so but the fact that I was making decent money because I had been so poor, to make 50 cents or a dollar more than minimum wage, I always made more than minimum wage, but I could never get into that bracket of the next highest up paid. I had been assistant manager with a decent salary, but obviously not, the best salary. I have was, if I was working in a shop or whatever, at whatever length of time, there were, I always made it like the lead man on the line, or the lead whatever grinder, or the lead whatever, because I just made it. I did the best that I possibly could, and I wasn't brown nosing. I just did a good job. And like what happened in jail, I was in population in the beginning, and by the time I got out of jail, I was working in the officers' dining room as a as a waiter, and had made money while I was in jail legitimately, you know, um, from the lowest to the highest, simply by just doing a good job. And so that has proven for me over all these years. So my goal is always just to do the best job I could. And if the pay scale was what it was, and that's all I got paid, then I tried to live within my means. So along with a lot of other people, but those folks that thought I should do better. Well, better than what? I'm already doing better than these other folks. Already making $1.50 more an hour than these guys. So what do you mean I'm not doing it good enough? Well, you should be more like, okay, you're not satisfied with my income or whatever. I'm sorry, but how about you help me live within my means versus bitch about it all the time. So, but anyway, So, but whoever's opinion, well, you could do better. Better than what? I'm already doing better than this. I'm already got my lands paid off. I've already got my trucks are paid off. What do you mean? Oh, but you could do better. Okay. So them kind of people, whoever they are, and I know there are men like that too, but some of these women that I've been married to and have met, and how they didn't seem like that at the time, but turned into that, or they were that. And then when we got married, it moved into that. I don't know. But that's just so sad on their parts. Just so sad that that's the only thing that they could focus on. Well, we went and did this. Yeah, but we should have, if we'd have had more money, we could have. I had a good time. So, but anyway, so, but with these new apps and everything, and the accessibility of stuff, the convenience of things. So, you know, um, it's one thing to be able to make your own coffee. It's another to have a $4,000 machine that you can program from the office. Um, you know, I know I'm stretching a little bit, but not too much. I've seen some of these coffee machines, and I'm like, what? My $25 one works really good, but okay. Anyway, so the convenience of machines and the convenience of time. So it's like, if you order everything online, if everything comes to your house, if you don't have to put yourself out at all, like get in the car and go somewhere. uh, People that are doing all the grocery shopping online and stuff. I'm sorry. I want to get me a basket. I want to go touch the meat that's in the package. I want to feel the vegetables. I want to smell the tomatoes. I want to, whatever it is. I ain't letting somebody else buy my groceries for me. I'm sorry. Now, if I need a can of soup or a gallon of milk or something, here's $20. But this idea that no, I'm going to do my own day of grocery shopping. I might see something I like, you know, but that ain't on the list, and that I would really like to have actually. So, and then there are the times when I buy shit that I don't need, but I've gotten much better at that because when you're on a limited income, you are limited with your income. And I have friends of mine who are, it's not the end of the month and they're pretty much already broke. And it's like, y'all set yourselves up for that. I mean, how they have taken their finances, their this, their that, their household, their all of the stuff. They've created their own situation. And, getting a part time job at their age is going to be, might be a little difficult, but, you know, they should be able to live on their income between the two of them with what they earn, and be okay about it. But they have buying and spending habits that are just off the roof. You'd think they was making $75,000 a year from the way they try to spend sometimes. And it's just like, y'all can't do that. You can't be them people, but you got to be happy with who you are. Well, like, black, so are you happy? Are you dry? Are you fed? Yeah, 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 yeah. Then what you bitching about? Go have fun. Quit trying to be like the Joneses at 68 years old. You didn't make it then, you ain't gonna make it now. Yeah, you're on a limited income, fixed income, and so you should, treat it as such. Um, After all these years, I was living from paycheck to paycheck myself because I did not was not able to learn how to live on a limited income. And I was always broke by, what, this is the 23rd today, 22nd. And so by the 25th, I'd be broke or pushing it and out of milk and waiting on the third. And now, I don't know, I probably have, maybe $1,000 in the bank. Now, some of that was due to the money they gave us years ago because I just didn't spend it. I have been letting it go out a little bit at a time. But also, I have limited my spending too. So I have been accruing things on my own, but so, oh, you quit smoking Newports? Oh my God. And that's like a big deal for you too, ain't it, Pearl? I mean, because I got some friends down here that they've been smoking Newports for God Almighty, and for them to give up smoking Newports, honey, I know how that is. I've smoked them myself back in the day. Boy, I used to love my menthols. Oh, good night, Isby. $90 for 10 packs? What? Now I live in the great state of Georgia, um, but these 305s that I've been smoking, they're the 100s. Uh, they're 350 a pack, and they got a darker ones, which means they're stronger. These are the mid grades kind of thing. And they used to have a red pack, but I don't think anybody they don't even have them at the stores anymore. But uh, the next are the ones that I were Pall Mall, but they're at $5.99 a pack, $6 a pack, which are almost twice as much as these. And yeah, I'm sorry. When when things went to 250 a pack back in the day, I was like, yeah, if it ever gets to $3 a pack, I'm gonna quit. Well, it's 3.25, and you know, yeah, I used to do the cigar things too. But the other thing too is, here, let me show you. Since we on the subject, I think I've shown these before, but this is just one brand. But here's a Gambler Gold pipe tobacco, and you can smoke in the pipe if you want to, but I roll this up. In fact, I've got a couple pre-rolled. This looks like a joint, sort of, but it's tobacco, and I just use regular wraps, and I still roll like I did when I was using Tops and Bugler in jail back in the day. But the thing is this cost me $7 for 6 ounces, 6 ounces of tobacco, and it's roughly the same price right now. So, in a pack of papers is a buck 50, depending on. Yeah, I used to do the tubes, and I've even got a machine upstairs that does the tube. But um, I want one of those old Tops rollers. They had this rubber pad on them and had a handle, and you'd pull the rubber over and stick it down like this, and you put your tobacco in, and then you'd start it up over this hill, and then you put your paper in it, lick it, and then give it one of these things, and it would pop out this perfect cigarette every time. I used to love sitting there. You back in the day down in Tampa when I had one of those, um, we would just get an ounce of weed and just roll it up. We'd sit there at the table smoking and get that old Tops roller out and put down in there and roll them up, and they really look like unfilled, the Pall Mall unfiltered, looked just like them. And so, yeah, I remember them days. One of my friends, do they? I know they still make rollers, but this was the great big thing. Anyway, it was it's convenient. It was convenient. These other ones are too small for me to handle with my hands sometimes, and the fact that I don't smoke joints much anymore. That I smoke mostly in a pipe because I'm smoking mostly by myself, and so I can take a hit, take two hits, smoke the whole damn thing if I want, and you know I I'm just over joints. If somebody comes over and they don't like the pipe, we'll roll a joint. But mostly, yeah. But roll a cigarette in a heartbeat if I don't have one, And I've got tobacco upstairs that are, I've got a humidor down here on the floor that um, has had tobacco in it for years. I'll be right back. I gotta go check on the dog. Okay, let's go check on the dog. Good boy. Good dog. Got to take that Duggar break. Um, yes, they do, Pearl. Absolutely. And I've got so many different kinds of pipes. I'm, in a way, I guess I've got a fetish about pipes. Um, I dug this one up. Speaking of which, um, I cleaned off this table, and it's just as cluttered as when I cleaned it off. But I got this one here, and can you see it? It's silver, and it's a nice little smoking bowl. Um, but it is a biatch to clean this thing. It'll get clogged up, and it just so it looks nice. It's hard. It won't sit up. I thought I had I'd made a little stand for it years ago because it does look so cool. But to clean it, and it gets stuck, and oh my God. So it's just for show. Um, and once in a while, I'll put something in it, smoke it. But as far as it being like a regular pipe like this, um, it ain't. But it is the fun. It is fun to smoke out of different pipes. And I used to do bongs a lot. And when we'd run out of weed, we'd take the bong water, and uh, run it through a couple of coffee filters, and then and then put it in the microwave and then smoke it. Oh my God, how gross that shit was. Woo wee. But anyway, yeah. So since I got you all here, I want to make a couple of comments uh, about the Earth wobble and moon wobble. I've been keeping an eye on things, as you know. I just haven't talked about it, but I was really freaked out the other night. Well, let's see. This is Wednesday, technically now. So I guess it would have been Friday or Saturday night. I was outside looking at the stars and all, and looking at planets and where stuff is. And because when it was full moon, hey Susie, how y'all? At full moon time, the moon was so far down in the southeast. I was like, what? It was really low in the sky. One of the lowest times I've ever seen it. I mean, really. And all of us in the neighborhood were like, did you see where the moon come up? Yeah. I mean, they were like really going, telling me, who I'm the one that's always telling them, watch the moon. Did you see where they were like, dude, man, did you see where the moon come up? Yeah. And it stayed low for several days through full moon, and it gradually moved up, but only by a degree or two. It was relatively in the same place throughout the 3 or 4 days of full moon. The low in the sky, and it stayed low the whole night through and everything. Well, then, um, going into the 3/4 phase, like in one day. So I go out, check the moon. Now it's coming up later, right? It's 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm checking where the moon's coming up. And it's like has gone from down here in the sky to up here in the sky, this angle. And I'm like, what? Because now where I couldn't see it through any of my windows, I had to go outside to see the moon. Now I can see the moon through this window up here. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. That was like in 2 days. It went from down here way low and it's whatever to like it's popped up here. Last night it was up another 5 degrees. So in less than 4 days' time, it's almost straight up overhead, which is like, what? Usually it takes 3 weeks to make the down here to overhead. And because I've been watching that cycle, right? I've discussed it over the last couple of years. But right now, whether it's because we're swinging around here at the this time of year at the summer, I keep wanting to um, anyway. I keep forgetting what time, but it's anyway. Hey, Susie Q. Yes, the moon is wrong. You agree that it came up straight east 2 days later in the wrong window. Absolutely. I was telling my friend the other day who was here and looking at one of my gourds that had been painted by an Indian friend of mine. And I said, I've had this gourd over here in this window. And I said, it never gets the sun. So that same afternoon, he was here in the morning. That same afternoon, there's sun in that window over here. And that never, hardly ever, I don't remember it being that far west for the sun setting. And I'm like, holy crap. Now, the last few mornings I've been getting up. I got to get up to pee. It's just all the time. But anyway, it's coming in my window over here in the bay windows. That is like north by northeast. I mean, I'm sorry, east by northeast. All right. So, but it's pushing north. So when I was outside the other night looking up at the stars, it was nice and clear. And I was like, cool. I could see the overhead. I could see the Big Dipper. And ever since I was a kid in Cub Scouts, you to find the Little Dipper, to find the North Star, you find the Big Dipper, the two big stars at the bottom of the bucket thingy, and they point straight at the North Star. When I was a kid, they used to. I mean, you could hold your arm up like this, and you could see the two stars from the Big Dipper over here, and hold your arm up, and there'd be the North Star. Well, it ain't like that no more. Them two stars is pointing somewhere other than the North Star. I mean, it's so far off. It's like, the two stars are pointing over here, and the North Star's down here. I mean, drastically. Now, I talked about this a couple of years ago and saying, what's up with the North Star and the Big Dipper? Because it ain't pointing where it has been pointing. Now, that ain't just the Earth. That's whole galaxies. That's some big time stuff moving around there. It doesn't, in my opinion, it doesn't seem like the North Star has moved, Polaris, in that up or down or whatever in the tail of the Little Dipper. But the Big Dipper and the Little Dipper and its positions are not the same as I was a kid. 50 years ago, it's changed. I'm telling you. And when I went out to look for the North Star, it was also too high in the sky. And I was like, what's up with that? I mean, it's like 50 degrees up. No, you ain't supposed to be up there. You're supposed to be closer to the horizon down here in South Georgia. No, you're not supposed to be that high. When I go to Ohio, it's supposed to be that high because I've moved further north on the globe, you know. And so I'm just closer to the North Pole the farther north I journey. But down here to see the North Pole up as high as it is in the sky, it's like it's weird. And then on the south end of my observations is Scorpio with Sirius, the dog star. And so there's the tail and the really bright orangish one, which is the dog star. And then there it splits into threes, right? And so you can gauge it how it's tilted this way is whether or not the planet is skewed, but it's also I stand in the same place right outside, and so my trees have not grown anymore. And but when Scorpio and the dog star, some nights the dog star is like sitting right on top of the trees, and then 2 nights later I can see the tail of Scorpio on the tops of the trees. Now that's a lot of travel. So that would mean that the Earth is rolling south in order to push Scorpio up. But if the Earth is rolling towards the north, then Scorpio falls down into the trees. Okay, because from my position, you know, it's going down the horizon and I'm moving away from it. The Earth rolls south and it rises up higher from the horizon. So it's been pretty high up on the horizon, and then the other night it just took a dip. I mean, it was like, where's Scorpio? And the dog star was barely visible atop the tops of my trees. And where 3 nights ago, the whole thing, you could see the whole constellation of other trees from the same observation point. Like, where the hell, where did everything go? So, and the moon, whatever it's doing from being so low in the sky, it's almost unimaginable to jerking itself to almost straight overhead in just a couple of days. There's some strange energies going on by these motions. Our movement, there was something in the news thing again about they're calculating that the earth is moving faster, slower. They're not quite sure, and the moon is moving in a different thing, and it's also tilted now. It's wobbling in its orbit. And now these are the scientists finally talking about this stuff. When to the rest of us, how many years I've been talking about this? Simply by observation. Now, what does all this mean? Not a clue. I really don't. But I do know that Mother Earth and the universe and everything, we're going through some topsy turvy times. That's for sure. And we just need to continue to be aware of it. But Chloe, if you're watching it I'm sorry, Susie. Yeah, you're looking out one window one day and it ain't there, and then that it is the next, and you go, "Whoa, dude, how did that happen?" And then for many years, as I was telling some of my neighbors and folks around here, now they're telling me, you know, Dave, did you see the moon? Dave, did you see where the Dave? Did you? Yeah, I'm so glad you're watching now. I'm so glad you're paying attention because and they say, well, what are we going to do about it? And I go, "No, there ain't nothing we can do about it. But when wonder about, you know, there are people worrying about HARP and the jets and the airplanes and all that. Knock on wood, I haven't seen one in a couple of weeks down here. The sky has been so dead gum blue, it's just great. But that could change in the middle of the night. Were spraying very heavily not too long ago in the middle of the night. But anyway, um, I am absolutely much more worried about as far as what the planes are doing, as far as what Mother Earth and the what used to be normal weather patterns aren't normal anymore because the Earth is moving. It's wobbling. The moon is wobbling. It used to take several years. The moon would be straight overhead for years, and then the next year it would move slightly in its orbit, and it would come down the sky to the low point, and then it would take a couple of years for it to come back up to where the moon would be aligned with more with the equator. Now it takes days instead of years. Days this take. So our what used to be normal back when the moon was acting more normal in its orbit and the earth wasn't wobbling, you could count on weather fronts and certain things. Now you can't. So, oh, it's all HARP and it's all, are them folks, part of the problem? Yeah. But I am absolutely much more worried about Mother Nature herself, okay? Because of the wobble, she's not able to maintain. Hey, Katniss, how are you? She's not able to maintain what even used to be, a normal season. But if the earth's wobbling back and forth and moon's jumping all over the place, the tides are moving, that means the atmosphere and the air currents are moving, that yeah. So everybody wants to blame HARP or the trails. Yes, they have an effect, but this wobble creates a whole lot more for the entire planet, not just sections of it, because of the wobble. That's sort of kind of why I brought it up all these years ago. But anyway, just to bring it up as hey, Mary, how are you? It's Mother Shipton's red dragon. Oh, the red kachina. Oh, yeah. Um, there are some of these folks who, like Mother, what's her name, and other folks, and I've listened and tried to like somehow, but the red kachina and some of that stuff, I was like, And when people start giving things names and stuff, and I just like, what you what? Okay. Um, but anyway, to everybody, their own, So, but I would agree with them like up to a certain point, and then they'd bring in, and I'm just using the red kachina as an example, but there were other channels and other folks, and they were putting some certain things on. I was like, oh, come on. Well, yeah, I'm agreeing with you up to here, but nah. But other people are, oh, yeah, it's, because this person said it. And that's why I don't use a lot of, I use certain terminologies and things, but I don't give stuff names much, you know. I have you noticed? If they have a name, okay, but I ain't giving them names. They're trying to, you know, exhibit or exert something. I the red kachina and go okie dokie. Oh, the this okie dokie. Ah, oh, I got a cramp in my back. Oh, I've been at this a while, haven't I? What time is it? Three? What? Okay, I'm going to hang out for a little longer. The tech is what they're doing underground is be and everybody because they're fracking. They are putting water-based type things and fluids into the ground to push out at high pressure the oil in the sand and the sandstones and the substrates down in the ground. Now you take something really thick like oil and you push it out with something that's really thin like water. It's the viscosity, it's the thickness. It's like, water versus olive oil or some kind of oil. I mean, and besides that, they don't mix, right? Water and oil don't mix. So they're doing these high pressure water injections and it's chemicals. When I was in the business, we had chemicals that came out of like from the machining process. So there's oils and things, and it gets caught in catch bins. Stamping machines have to have oil on the stuff so they don't stick and mar and maul. And then that stuff, it peels off and it drips over. And, they have special dripping pans where they will hang things so that it will drip and be clean. And so, but when all that oil and stuff that drips off of the manufacturing process, they have to do something with that oil. They just can't throw it in the landfill or whatever, or dump it down the drain. So they sell it. It's not sold. I'm sorry. They have to hire someone to take this waste water slash weird oil and contaminants and stuff off their hands and take it to quote a recycling center. Well, they don't recycle it. What they do is they sell it to somebody to inject it down deep into the ground. Now, every manufacturing plant has stuff they have to get rid of that they just can't pour down the drain. So they hire someone to come get this crap. It's supposed to be sent through filters and the oil redone and everything, and they don't do it because they found an easier way and they high pressure inject it deep into the ground to get rid of it. It's contaminated with all kinds of crap. But yeah, there's usually some kind of oil in there, usually. But it's highly contaminated with, chromium and all kinds of stuff. But anyway, so so the manufacturing places have to find an outlet. So they find someone to come and collect it in a special container with special, because it has to have hazardous materials on the side. It has to have hazmat, has stuff. They have to have a driver who has a hazmat license, and so forth. So drives the price up of getting rid of it. But where it used to be the cost of the recycling of it, the people who have to get rid of it don't care. They just get rid of it to the people who come and collect it. What happens after it's collected is up to the people who collected it. So if they want to recycle it through some kind of super expensive reverse osmosis type thing, or they're going to sell it to someone at so much a gallon to shoot it deep in the ground for fracking. Which would you rather? Oh, fracking, because they will pay for you to deliver it. They will pay you, so much a gallon, And you ain't got to worry about the cleaning of filtering. What are you going to do with the filters after all these contaminants are collected in the filters? Because that's one thing that people who are into recycling said, I can't do this. And they were like, why? And they said, well, we can get all these chromiums and metals and everything out of this oil, but the EPA are telling me I can't move the filters once they're contaminated. And a friend of mine was like, say what? You know, because there is so much contaminated because the filters caught it and did their job. Now the EPA says, well, we don't know how are you going to dispose of them? Well, I don't know. You said you were going to recycle. You wanted us to filter it. Here's the filter. Now, there's no, once you get all these, and I'm talking about high contamination of some serious chemicals. Here they are in these filters. Now, all you got to do is figure out how to get them out of this filter and separate them. They don't want to do it. Well, they've gotten it 95% of it out of the oil or whatever through the filtering process. But now, what's in the filter, they don't know what to do with it. So they've chosen, get this, not to filter it because now they have such a they've got this filter with so much contamination in it. There's no place to put it, no place to take it, nobody who wants to take it. So what do? They leave it in solution because it's easier to manage, it's easier to transport, it's easier to shove deep in the ground because all of these other answers don't work because of the high contamination after these things are filtered out. They don't know what to do with them and don't want to spend the money to try to filter them further and reclaim some of these, number one, highly toxic, but some of these other chemicals and some of these, metals and whatever, you could reuse them if you could filter them. But instead, the business has been the company that needs to get rid of it, find somebody to buy it, come pick it up. Instead of working with it, filtering it, whatever, they hold it and then shove it in the ground. That's why fracking has become so important. There were thousands, hundreds and thousands, probably millions of gallons of contaminated product sitting in holding tanks, waiting for someone to figure out how to filter it, waiting on somebody to allow them to do something. So all they could do was pick it up and deliver it somewhere for storage. Now they find out how to get rid of it. So how's the earth now? Why am I mentioning this? Because they're controlling one where wait. Let me back the bus up. They're affecting. I won't necessarily say they're controlling it, but I will say that they are affecting the lava, under the mantle, uh, how fast the lava is moving, the magma. I'm sorry, it ain't lava till it hits the air, right? But you get what I mean. So there's all this mass of molten stuff under the planet, and it's moving. Okay, and so they're injecting wells and changing fracture zones. They're changing directions of some of this lava that's been going in the same direction for a long time. But also they're changing the uh, the viscosity. In other words, exchanging oil for water and contaminated water at that. So it's not as thick, doesn't hold the rock together. It doesn't act the same in the ground as does the oil as because of its cushiony thingy and its thickness and all that. So the flow of the magma under the planet is one of the reasons why it's wobbling. And the moon is wobbling because the earth is, basically. Now I do think that the moon wobbling is artificial. Somebody up there has been wobbling the moon. Okay. because there's some other stuff going on. But to wobble the earth, the easiest way is, to affect the oceans, which they have, with busting open the oil into the Gulf of Mexico, which went into the Gulf Stream, which ended up in the Atlantic, and it's now already been around the planet at least once. The oil and from the Deepwater Horizon had circulated at least once, okay, and probably several, but so those contaminants have been around the world. They've been into the atmosphere, uh, which affects things, cooling and heating. There's Sargasso Sea off the coast of, the east coast of America. There was, it's got its own little uh, circulation and stuff that goes on over there. And in the last couple of years, it's been acting really weird between mariners and big freighters and whatever. Folks and folks who fly. The Sargasso Sea has been really strange, behavioral wise and storm wise, and the whole 9 yards. So that's affecting the flow of the ocean. So when you affect the top source and the water's moving in different directions, faster, slower, or quite frankly, sometimes almost not at all, that's going to affect the spin of the earth. And if the magma underneath is moving and its viscosity and thickness and everything has changed, it's like you lost a wheel weight on a tire and your tire wobbles and it does this number. You know, that is exactly what the earth is doing. And after the many years of having my spirit guides explain it to me like a wheel out of balance, I was like, oh my God, I could see it so clearly. And volcanoes going off in one place, so there's too much magma, it shoots out the crust, but there's still movement. Now, when a volcano goes off, does that stop the movement under the earth? It's spouted off, but that magma is still movement. Now, is it all stopped and going up? Now, some of it's going up. So it's like you relieve the pressure on a boil, but the boil's still there, and there's still pus down in that's, down deep in that core. And, and it might be all right, but when that pressure builds up too much, then, you know, I used to have boils as a kid. It was very painful. Oh my God. And smell, stink. Oh my God. It was horrible. Anyway, so somehow I see that as, basically the volcano reaches that point where it just, but with the mantle and everything moving, and then there's air pressures on top that have differences and so forth. People's activities, just rumblings and just people walking around is making the earth wiggle and tremble in certain frequencies. But the magma and the water are two things that would absolutely throw this planet out of balance. And if the magma is moving one way and the sea currents have moved another, then we're going to have more of a wobble. The moon, we need to watch out for that sucker. It might do. I swear, the moon was in such a weird position that it was like, how in the hell did you get down there? I mean, I'm like, seriously, I've been watching this for years, but I almost peed myself. I was like, what are they doing? Uh, but Mother Earth, it's almost like the moon was like fixing to just fly off of this away. It was going to be so low. It was like, would that be interesting to where the moon is now around the sort of around the equator? But if it drops so low on the equator that at full moon, we actually couldn't see it. It would come up and go down so far south. Now, folks in Mexico City or maybe Miami or maybe Key West further south could see the moon, but folks for even here, the further north you go, you wouldn't see the moon come up or go down at all. It would just be light in the southern hemisphere. Wouldn't that be weird? But this last full moon is damn near like that. So that's one reason I was like, not necessarily terrified, but I was like, boy, there's some shenanigans going on here. I ain't nothing I can do about it, but holy crap. How many times have I seen this in my lifetime? Two. Literally for me, like two. I did a video way years ago, but I don't know if I put it online. And the moon's set so far in the southwest, this one. I mean, I was literally running around in my yard with this camera going, this can't be happening. Oh my God, we're all going to die. You just took some moon pics. What if the crust rolled on the mantle? What if the crust rolled on the mantle? It's hard for the crust to roll. Just think about it. I mean, just take a. I had some crunchy stuff dessert that they put this crust on top, and there's gooey stuff right underneath it. But when you put your fork in, to get you a bite, it might crack, but it stays that same spot. But for the crust to roll, move, jostle side to side, yeah, but roll, nah. Yep. Oh, Isby, about the fluoride, it might come from China, but they were putting it in our water the- long before the Chinese. Okay, long before the Chinese. They just happened to. Um, oh, and that's something else too. What I talked about them changing the the types of oil that could be considered as and I'm just sitting here trying to remember the name of the oil now too. Um, the big markup and the hype and everything. When actually they added certain other oils to the classification, and it's like, no, that's not the same as what was 10, 15 years ago, because they've changed the designation of something. And yeah, and big time in the 50s. Yep. Yeah, the 2 mile high, um, wave. One of the reasons why I live where I do is because we were told that there was going to be a 300-foot wave come off of the Atlantic. And I'm at about 285 sitting here at the house, you know. So, but I'm a long way from either ocean. And so, I think elevation could very well mean something in the future. But as far as a 2 mile high wave, if that happens, we're all just bend over and kiss your ass goodbye. Because 2 miles, forget about it. And it's just going to keep on rolling. So, but here's the other thing, the event that might cause it is going to be so catastrophic. The earthquake that creates the wave might be so catastrophic, we'd be dead anyway. So, now it is true that they can create earthquakes. All right. It's also true, if you've watched Dante's channel over the years, like I have, to where the bad guys created, that 10-mile thing that you see all these earthquakes, they're all at the same depth. very well possibly not necessarily man-made, okay, but induced by an artificial means, okay? And some of these guys are the aliens who are, as Dante pointed out on several videos he did a little while back and showed, see, there was one up around Alaska that I remember. And he said, see that one? There was like a really big one just offshore. And even there were tsunami warnings that went off. But all of a sudden, but there was no tsunami, but there was another earthquake nearby it at a certain depth. And all of a sudden, the tsunami warnings were no longer there. And I mean, they went off, and people were remarking, man, there's tsunami warnings, and there's going to be, but there was no wave. Now, Dante showed that he said the good guys stopped that wave before it could reach the shore by setting off another tremor nearby it and basically negating the effects of the first quake. So it was kind of hard to disprove him on that one because of all of the tsunami quakes or buoys that went off and all this warnings and everything. But and within just I don't know how, I can't remember, it was a very short time that another one went off, quote, as an aftershock. But then there were no tsunami warnings. It just disappeared. So there are some good guys looking out after us. And it could be in the way of aftershocks. Um, I don't think certain intelligent beings from other places will allow these dumb sons of bitches to destroy us like that because there's already evidence of what they have already like nipped in the bud. Tsunami warnings went off, but there was no wave. Good thing, right? Was it Mother Earth or was it the good aliens going, nah, no, no, you don't. Well, over in the Ukraine, where there's a lot of trouble with them folk, a lot of earthquakes and weird stuff that goes over there, and Italy and Greece and up in there. Yeah, there's a lot of fault zone lines and stuff. There's also some nasties, doing some. Oh, are we 2 minutes past the mark? I don't. I don't think 100-foot wave would clear Florida, Isby, because of stuff in the way that will slow the wave down. It won't be geography, but it'll be buildings and stuff that will just, that 100-foot wave is going to do a lot of damage. But if it ever reached Orlando, I'd be surprised simply because, oh, it's a 100-foot wave and it's taller. Yeah, all that's true. But I simply don't believe that it would go all the way across Florida simply because there's too much drag and stuff in the way that would slow the wave down. Because as a kid, as a kid who grew up in Florida, when they said that there back in the day it was a 90-foot wave, and I knew back when I was 13 years old what the elevation was where we lived, and it was 9 feet, and just down the road, just a piece, it was 11 foot. So I was like, well, and that was like, near Busch Gardens and around in there, in the neighborhood. The highest spot was 11 feet. Oh boy, if we get a 90-foot wave, uh, yeah, I'm just going to get me an inner tube, and stay in it. But um, can those catastrophic events happen? Yes. If something was going to make a 100-foot wave, I would say it was going to be a giant spaceship that fell into an ocean or a lake and made a big splash. That's my 10 cents on that. because there's some spaceships out there that if they ever shown up, hit the Earth, or come down here and made that big splash, they would absolutely send a 100-foot wave in all directions. Okay, absolute. I believe that before I believe the Earth. You know, I know I'm strange, but I mean, a big alien spaceship coming down and just touching base, and just the displacement of the spaceship and the water would cause the water to rise around it. Absolutely, I would believe that 10 times before I believe Mother Earth would throw up a 300-foot wave. Not that she couldn't. That's not what I mean. But the probability and the possibility at this particular juncture, I'm I believe the alien sit in the water would be more dangerous than than Mother Earth. But let me tell you, these alien particular races really do want us dead. They really want us off this planet. And but the thing is, we keep we're survivors. Damn it, we've been on this planet for a long time too, and everything that Mother Earth has thrown at us in the past and continues to do, whether instigated by man or not, or somebody else, is that we're still here. And if you believe that you come from a monkey, then you deserve to believe you came from a monkey. Okay. Did you catch that? We did not come from monkeys. Okay. No. The missing link is there ain't one. I, back when I was in high school, I thought that was bullshit. And and yes, there is evidence that, and even Dante has said that the Anunnaki and some of the others um, were trying to improve the human race, and the Vlash and the Motterra and this other race stuck their fingers in and twisted our DNA. And so we should be living like 200-300 years and have good health and all this stuff, and they messed us up. So everybody wants to blame the Anunnaki because they started with helping our DNA, but it was the other folks who threw in the big monkey wrenches that gave us all our troubles. So, folks want to, everything was because of the Anunnaki. Nah, that ain't true neither. And everything's because of this. Nah, that ain't true neither. And in some of the stuff, reading about the Native Americans and stuff, them folk out west, when they say they believe that their ancestors came from the stars, specifically, the dog star Sirius, or the other ones that I can't remember at the moment. But the simple fact that they still believe that their ancestors came from the stars means they had to be aliens, because their ancestors weren't gods, they were elders. And so you don't have to convince these folk, the Hopi this and the these and the that and whatever. So these folks have been waiting for their brothers and sisters to come back from the sky. So, but the folks who came before and introduced themselves to the Indian, to the Hopi, and to the folks down in Mexico. I mean, there there are spaceships all over Mexico City and around down there, in Venezuela uh, and Machu Picchu and all these places down in South America and down along the Andes, different types, but they've been visiting for a long time, Charlie. So, and all the proof and everything. But so this idea, but them folks that visited, like with Machu Picchu and all these other places, they were trying to help mankind. Whereas these other folks, no, they no, there's too many of us on this planet, and they've are you listen to Davos, you listen to the UN, you listen to this and that, and they all say there's too many of us. And then they say, well, there are people starving in Africa. They know it. Could they do more to help these people? Yeah, but somebody's got to die somewhere. And if it ain't you and me, it's got to be somebody. So consider that. Because they are, I mean, Billy Gates and all that kind of stuff. You know, why are they down there? Because they can't get rid of us because ain't nobody paying to them blackies down, them darkies down in Africa. Uh, when they're dying, well, they got monkeypox. Well, and they're sniffing glue. I mean, oh my God, the amount of brainless kids down there who are sniffing glue because they don't have water or food I mean, it's unbelievable. And it's rampant and killing kids. 9, 10, 11 years old are just sniffing and hung up on this glue and other inhalants too. But oh my God, it's rampant, along with the starvation and the flies and the disease and no fresh water. And oh, they're killing folks. Yeah, they are. To some of them, maybe, but it's just like the hog population here in Georgia. I was talking with a friend of mine, actually my nephew, who moved to North Carolina. God bless him. Still love him to death like a son. And he said, "Well, down in Florida, you can hunt hogs on private property if they're messing with your crops." And I was like, "Nah, that no, in the state of Georgia, you can shoot hogs anywhere. It doesn't have to be your private property. It can be state lands. Wild hogs have gotten so bad that it's open season all year round. And this year, after 40 years of living here, there's extreme evidence of wild hogs on my property, finally, after all these years. Now, to the point, though, so, the hog population, so, it's just overrun. So basically, to the aliens, for whatever reason, it's open season because there's too goddamn many of us. We have, you know, 2 and 3 and 4, a lot of babies, a lot of new folks, too many of us, too quick. But they've been talking about Agenda 20, back in the days of what was it, something 19 or 17 or anyway, and then there was Agenda 21, and then there was Agenda 2030, and so they've been planning this for a long time. And they've been telling us for a long time, but we just keep populating, you know. So I think some of these guys are just like, let's try this and see how many die. It's almost like a game. Now, whether or not it's currency, mm, but I would bet you that they're like, oh, let's see if COVID-19 kills 1 million people in over here. Well, let's see if monkeypox will kill a bunch of people. Now, I've talked with other people. Other folks are talking about the monkeypox and the hype of monkeypox. Okay. Big time folks are talking about this, and they've been studying and doing reporting, and nobody's worried about it. Okay. The hype at the beginning, now it's like, so where's the data? Where's the stuff? Where's the this? Now, at the same time, I'm telling you, every single one of us has had chicken pox. That makes every single one of us the carrier for shingles. I've known people who've had shingles. They really suffer with it. It's very akin to what I've seen of monkeypox as far as a rash and this and that. But here's the thing, every single one of us Americans have had chickenpox. Every one of us. And so every single one of us is a candidate to just simply get the shingles. Now, what if, and I've mentioned this before, you take something that promotes it or triggers an event with you and it, but if you was going to be worried about something, I'd be much more worried about, something that is already here. and that every one of us in the United States has had and could be absolutely triggered and is absolutely painful and horrible and just, I don't know of anybody that has died from it, but I could understand from the stress of it, where if somebody had issues or whatever, that it could put a strain on their heart or whatever, or something like that. The anxiety, the pain, the discomfort, and it just become overwhelming. That's possible. But as far as anybody just dying of it, I don't know. But could every American get it? Oh, yes. So please don't be worried about the monkeypox. Be worried about you getting shingles. There's a lot of commercials. A lot more people are getting the shingles. A lot more because, the more they put commercials out there with products to help the shingles, that must mean that there are more incidents of the shingles. You follow? So it's already here. We've already got our own monkeypox, and it's called, what's a neurotoxin? I missed it, Mark. That's, oh, fluoride. Yeah, 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 yeah. That's what they're projecting. Um, I'm going to be an ornery son of a bitch and say, okay, because they want to target us old people because we are really useless eaters as far as what we can absolutely contribute to the system. Um, Even though we've paid in because they have to pay us back. They really don't like that, the Social Security thing. Even though I've paid in all my life, we shouldn't have to pay these scum. Yeah, but they have figured out everything in the world to cheat us. Love you too, Michelle. Oh, let me talk to you for a second, Michelle. Don't hang up yet, okay? I want to explain something real quick. And we can talk on the phone too about what I sent you about the tone. Somehow they were showing me that, like, maybe it could be a rock, or maybe it could be a piece of metal, uh, a piece of stainless steel, a piece of cold roll. It could be a nail. It could be, but that somehow that a metal might interfere with a frequency that he may be hearing or not hearing or something. I thought that that was odd. But that picking a, like a 432 or 500, some kind of something that would, if, you know, if the note is high C for him, then see if there is a, uh, um, go down the scale to middle C to low C, and see if there's a harmonic that would somehow mix, mingle, or something. I'm not quite sure. But that maybe a tone or a note or something during, high peak um, shriek days that, and I don't know, but here's the thing. And I mean, they've been bothering me, Michelle, for the last couple of days of this and trying to figure out, like, uh, maybe he's like, I can hear radio stations sometimes. I mean, auditorily hear stuff. And I think it's because I've had so many head bangs, and there are certain frequencies, like right now, there all of a sudden I'm hearing, but that somehow, honestly, maybe a tinfoil hat just to see if it would block out anything, and just for fun, make a sailor's cap or something out of tinfoil and just, and just play and see. But to observe the reaction, like he was holding a penny, which is some copper, mostly zinc anymore, but or a nickel or a dime, which is silver, more silver, or or something else, that could be grounding somehow. But anyway, so we need to talk some more. But anyway, they filled my head full of this stuff. All right, listen, everybody, I've had a great time chatting and whatever. But if you're worried about monkeypox, keep yourself healthy so you don't get the shingles. And are they chemtrailing us to death? Yeah. But there's a lot more that's going on that I would be worried about than the chemtrails themselves. And some of the old Indian elders said, if you see a chemtrail, then pray the Great Spirit, but by the time it reaches the ground, it will be beneficial instead of if it was if those chemtrails are being put out with evil intent, then our prayers, when you see them, instead of cursing, you say, Creator, fix that so by the time those vapors hit the ground, they will be safe. They won't hurt the earth. And I find that to be a whole lot easier than cursing them every time I see them. Now, don't get me wrong. About 2 weeks ago, they were spraying like hell, and I was pissed. And it was difficult for me to go, please, Great Spirit, make it was tough for me to not just be pissed, So, but anyway, so Michelle, if you're still listening, it might be there are a lot of places out there that you can, like for when I was having seizures, there are things for seizures. There are different tones and things and stuff, and it might be that that's something to that might help. So, but anyway, I'm tired. Pee. I'm out of something to drink, and I've been doing this now for 5 hours, over 5 hours, including with Robert V. So I love you all. Please be safe. And remember, if it's really convenient for you, just remember, uh, you know, don't get caught up in that. Maybe you should do a little legwork yourself once in a while. Now, not to say y'all are, but there are those folks who are just so into it, um, that and they see nothing wrong with taking advantage of all these advantages and of all these conveniences. Hey Roman, how you doing? I'm sorry I can't stay. I know you just got here and I love you, but I'm tired. I've had a long day and this is 6 hours into me being online. So I love you till next time. Okay, and I promise it won't be as long, but uh, between other stuff happening and the higher side spirits just sending a lot of information down the line, and it's a little strange, and I'm still trying to muddle through. I had a dream the other morning that was so I was there and I had to pee so bad. I was trying to stay in the dream and not come back, but I was like, no, I'm gonna wet the bed. I gotta wake up. I did not want to, and it was a strange dream too, but I could see it in color. I was in motion. I was like, no, I can't leave here, but I gotta pee. But anyway, so I love you. Please be safe. Okay. I continue to pray, and I really do mean this. I continue to pray that each and every day, that each and every one of you will continue to learn how to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the many blessings in the universe. And me and Doug are both, when we go outside to take our little walk, we continue to pray that each and every day, that each and every one of you, your friends, your relatives, your neighbors, and anybody else you can get next to you will continue to learn how to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the many, 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 many blessings out there in the universe. And in that law of three, which is really important to me, I do think that I pray every day that each and every one of you will continue to learn to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the many blessings in the universe, and that you will continue to notice Dragonfly, because Dragonfly keeps coming up in the cards, and Dragonfly says, beware, beware of the illusion. And there are many folks out there trying to paint the illusion that you should be in fear, or that you should be doing this, or you should, or, you're not going to live in, just saying. So be careful of someone else's illusions when they try to put them on you. And so be careful out there, my friends. I do love you. And cosmic hugs, sleep well, be safe. And until next time, I say cheers and don't give up. Believe, 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 believe. Till next time, I believe we're all going to be safe till the next time anyway.